Hello, guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I am joined, as ever, by Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, my fellow cosmic angel, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, my friend, as it seems like this is like 2 weeks in a row, or 2 out of 3 weeks that there's news that dropped before we record it, which obviously we will get into. The brackets, not the brackets, but the blocks for the tag league have been announced. So I'm super excited about that. Some interesting teams, some interesting shakeups. So I'm excited to chat with you on what you think of the Red Stars and the Blue Stars block. But before we get into that, Rob Goodwin, you know me. I'm the type of person that likes to take a negative and turn it into a positive. So I figured let's start this podcast out with your Uncle MT giving you a little advice how to turn a negative into a positive. What do you think about that, buddy? You think that's a good way to start this week's show?
I feel like it's the best way possible to start the show. Yeah, go for it, man.
So I mentioned last week how my wife was entering the apple pie baking contest, and it's baking. I listened to the episode last week and I said eating. Thank God she doesn't listen to this podcast, because my wife did not enter the apple pie eating contest. She entered the apple pie. Yes. I listened to that back 2 or 3 days later, and I was like, now I will be able to tell if my wife listens back to this, because she will definitely call me out on this. But my wife entered an apple pie baking contest. Now, usually she enters the one in the county fair in the summer. Last year she took third. Mm-hmm. This year she took fifth. They had one in the fall. So she entered it just this past week, found out that she did not place at all in this apple pie baking contest, which I thought was an absolute travesty. However, Rob, again, that's the negative. We're going to turn this into a positive. Because she did not place in this contest, the rest of her apple pie she was able to take home.
Oh, so, nice.
Yeah, so I'm sure you know where that apple pie went. That apple pie went in my stomach late on Sunday. And I'm not just saying this because she's my wife and I love her to death and she's the best, but she is a phenomenal cook and a phenomenal baker. But as I was eating said apple pie, I said, I'm not just saying this because you're my wife. Like, who took first, second, and third if you didn't place? Like, because this is absolutely delicious. Whoever placed first, second, and third, if it wasn't a robbery, it might have been made by angels. Maybe a cosmic angel. I don't know. But regardless.
No, you did not bring Tam's name.
I did not.
At
no, I did not.
Wife's lowest
point.
No,
I did not. I said that in my head. I said that in my head, rather. And I figured I would use this forum to say it now. But no, she did not place. Her apple pie was delicious. Again, you've been over my house before. You know just what a phenomenal cook that my wife is. So regardless, she didn't place. However, negative was that she didn't place. Positive was because she didn't place, the rest of her apple pie went home with us, and I devoured that baby on Sunday night before I went to bed. So obviously did not do wonders for my diet. Regardless, it was apple. It had apples in it, right? Fruit. You know, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, I guess. Right, Rob?
It's basically one of your 5 a day.
There it is. But no, other than that, my man, I'm great. I'm literally just about ready to finish up work for a handful of days. As soon as we get done recording this, brother, I am off to New York City for New York Comic-Con, and I'm really, really excited about that. But other than that, my man, I'm doing fantastic. How's everything in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. I'm all good. However, I feel like, let's delve a little more into this New York Comic Con. I know you are incredibly excited, but who is actually on this year? I know that Jim Duggan is there. I know that he's had quite a lot of health issues. I know that he's there, which is obviously fantastic news. But who else is there that you are very much looking forward to? I believe Scarlet Witch, maybe? Did you say?
Yeah, and this is, I think, my 11th or 12th year at New York Comic-Con. I think since 2012, I've only missed 2. Well, 2020, they shut down because of COVID. 2021, nobody, Andy Hedder, my sister, my brother-in-law, they didn't want to go because there was a massive spike of increase of COVID tests at the end of the summer in 2021. So we didn't go that year. But over the years I've been going to New York Comic-Con, I've met so many legends that are no longer with us. Like Stan Lee, Carrie Fisher, who obviously was Princess Leia in the Star Wars universe, Neil Adams, George Perez, just some just fantastic talent. The one year, remember, I did the Marty McFly and Doc Brown, Christopher Lloyd, and Michael J. Fox photo op. just because I've been going for so many years and I've done so many amazing things. And I always say everybody should go at least once. I know this is something that, and I said this to you maybe a year or two ago, this is something that you and Kirsty should definitely look at going because it's one, it's New York City. Two, everybody that is a fan of comic books or pop culture definitely should go because what Reed Pop does at the Javits Center in New York City is really, really unbelievable. But I always have like photo ops scheduled. I always have like signings scheduled. There's always a lot of big celebrities I like meeting. The only one that I have scheduled thus far is you're exactly right, Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen. I have a photo op with her, I believe, on Friday. I think it's Friday at like 12 or 1 o'clock. I'm probably going to be meeting Kevin Smith, who obviously directed Clerks and Mallrats and has a phenomenal podcast and a podcast empire. And I'm just a huge fan of Kevin Smith. So I'll probably be doing an autograph signing with him. But other than that, there's really not much. And the main reason why I'm super excited, and I'm super excited going every year, the main reason why I'm super excited to go is my daughter Lily. This is her first time at New York Comic Con. I can't tell you how many times over the years she would be getting on the bus to go to school while we're loading up the car, getting ready to go to New York. And you could just see the sad look on her face because she would always want to go. And I'm like, I can't pull you out of school for this. Like, I can't pull you out of school for this. Obviously, she graduated high school last year, and I told her once you finish your first semester at doing your online classes for your birthday, because her birthday is the first week of October, we'll buy you your 4-day pass. So this is really just main thing is I just want to just see her for 4 days, having just the time of her life and getting inspired by all the great artists that are there. And it's all the cool stuff that's going to be there. And I was even telling Amber just yesterday, I said, this is the first year in my 11, 12 years of going where it's like very low key. I'm not set on a certain schedule where it's like, I have to be here for this autograph signing. I have to get this done. I have to be here for this photo op. Where it's really, I just have to be in line Friday around 11:30 for the Elizabeth Olsen photo op. And other than just kind of shuffling Lily around, there's not much for me to do. I mean, over the years and years and years, especially, it's always me and Andy that go. I can't tell you how many comic books I have signed that are just sitting in a box in my comic room. It's got to be 400 or 500. Like, how many more comics can I get signed? How many commissions can I get? I'm actually going to gain 3 commissions from my buddy Alex Sanchez. Shout out to Alex. He's the one that always does the mashups with the superheroes and the Stardom wrestlers. I have 3 of them in mind that I'm going to commission. Not going to say what they are until they're done, and I'll be posting those photos on social media. But other than that, buddy, it's a very low key con. I'm going to have a really good time. It's really funny because sometimes it takes me 4 hours to get to New York City and then only an hour and a half to get back because the traffic in New York City is just absolutely crazy. And I'm really excited for Andy Hedder's cosplay. He did let one slip on what he is cosplaying on, and that was kind of what I started the podcast off last week because we have something very special, not only for you, Rob Goodwin, but for the fantastic listeners, the friends and family of the Stardom Cast. So please keep your eyes and ears open to my social media and the Stardom Cast YouTube channel because we have some content in mind that we're going to be releasing while we're in New York City.
I mean, I am now incredibly interested. Are you going to say one? Like, how many is he going to do? Because you're there, am I right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So 4 separate cosplays, I believe he's doing. Like, how full on is he going to go?
Again, that I don't know. I never want to know. I never want to know
Right.
what cosplays he's doing. Years ago, he would do what you would dress up as a girl one day and as a guy, like he'd be like Wonder Woman one day and like He-Man the next day or She-Hulk or something like that. But I think the past few years he's been cosplaying 3 out of the 4 days. Thursday, it's a little tricky to cosplay because that's usually the day we drive in. So and a lot of hotels won't let you check in till like 3 or 4 o'clock. So usually what we do is we go in the parking garage, we park the car, we take the bags, we put the bags in like bag check they have in the hotel. We walk to the con, and then by the time the con's done, our room is ready, and then we take our bags out. So usually, actually, I'm going to correct myself. Actually, Andy is driving down with 2 of our friends and his girlfriend actually tonight, Wednesday night. So there is a possibility he's cosplaying all 4 days. So again, I never want to know. I like, you know me, I like surprises. I like being surprised to see what he's dressing up as. Again, he kind of let one kind of, hey, this is what I'm going as. I'm like, 1, I wish you didn't tell me that, but 2, let's take advantage of this and let's do this, this, and this. And he's like, not only should we do A, B, and C, but let's do X, Y, and Z as well. So yeah, it's gonna be really, really interesting stuff that he cosplays, and a lot of the cosplays you see are absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of wrestling cosplay, a lot of Dusty Rhodes, a lot. We always see the same guy every year as the Iron Sheik, and he has the old like WWF belt from like 1984. But when the Iron Sheik won it, like that big green belt, he has like that replica. You see so many Macho Mans, which is so cool because Macho Man passed away like over 10 years ago, and you have like WCW Macho Man, you have like 80s Macho Man, you have NWO Macho Man, you have Slim Jim Macho Man. So it's really cool seeing the legacy of the Macho Man, like still, very, very high up on the thing. And obviously you see a ton of Deadpools. You see especially with the Deadpool Wolverine movie just being as hot as it was this past summer, and you see all different variations of Deadpool. So you do see a lot of people put a lot of great stuff into their cosplays. My buddy Chris Wayne, who listens to the show, hey Chris, he is actually, I think he's like a professional cosplayer. Like, I mean, I see him all the we actually saw him at WrestleCon. He was dressed up as Rob Van Dam, and actually Matt Riddle went over to him to take a picture with him. So I thought that was really cool.
I
So it's
do
gonna be interesting
remember,
to see.
yes.
Yeah, he's an excellent cosplayer. He actually met Bret Hart about a month or so ago, and he was dressed up as 1997 Bret Hart with the Canadian flag and everything. So it's gonna be interesting to see what he's going as. It's gonna be interesting to see what a lot of people are going. Yeah, and that's part of the fun. You're there 4 days. It's jam packed. Everybody gets along. You never see anybody fighting or this, that, and the other thing. There's just nothing but it's just nothing but a really, really fun time. So yeah, again, really looking forward to it. Looking forward to see what Andy Header is cosplaying as. So you will be have your phone on you, buddy, because I'm sure that every time you look at it, there's going to be dozens and dozens of pictures of certain things of that we're doing in New York City. But again, the main thing is I'm just excited to see Lily being so excited for New York Comic Con. The only Comic Con she's ever gone to is these small ones that I wrestle at, and those are a fraction of how big what New York Comic Con is.
Sure.
And then it's only for a few hours. She'll go in for like an hour or two. She'll come sit down, see me wrestle, and then we'll go home. Where this is 4 straight days, anywhere between 4 to 6 or 7 hours of all this stuff. And yeah, there's about 100,000 people there each day per day, because I think it's like 4 floors. And again, brother, one of these days you and Chris are going to have to sit down and talk about it. But you guys definitely, highest recommendations, you definitely should come to New York Comic Con one of these years, because I think it's something that everybody should experience at least once in their life.
I mean, I'm all for it. Whether Kirsty would, I don't know. She is a big fan of like comic book films and things like that. Whether I can persuade her or not remains to be seen. But we enjoy the grind. I imagine that eventually, one day, we will manage to get there. But I hope Lily has a fantastic time. Final question: has she got anyone in mind that she wants to see? Obviously, you're Elizabeth Olsen. Has Lily sort of got her eye on anyone?
Well, she's coming with me for the photo op, so she's extremely excited for that. There's this very famous YouTuber called, I never heard of him before. He's called Jacksepticeye. So she has him every 30 million people on YouTube or whatever, and I don't know, he's doing a panel and an autograph signing. So she basically sent me his schedule. Like, okay, I can get you there at certain times, like no big deal. So that's like her number one get to do. So again, I never heard of her, or never heard of him, but that's what she wants. So that's what we're going to do. And she has some cosplays as well. And she actually texted Andy the other day if Andy can help her with like some of her makeup, because again, I've seen Andy Header, and with the She-Hulk one, that was like a 4-hour process. I think he got up like 4 a.m. and I don't think we left the hotel until like 9, because that was a process. The She-Hulk, the Gem one was a really, really good one. That was a real funny one. So it'll be fun. It's gonna be a really, really fun time. But yeah, and again, we're kind of just gonna go with the flow. If there's anybody else we want to meet, it's just gonna be literally like calling it in the ring. For your wrestling term of the day. So yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And again, folks, and another thing is, I know we have a lot of our listeners that have reached out to both me and Andy that are going to be at New York Comic Con. If you want to meet up, just let me know. Again, I have 4 days where I'm doing very, very little. If you want to meet up, if you want to hang out, if you want to watch me and Andy work Artist Alley, like basically O2 line would, because the way that me and Andy we're Artist Alley, it's basically almost like 2 football fields, Rob, of artists, right? So what we would usually do is we would take Thursday as our day to kind of map out like where each artist is. And then like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we'd be back in the hotel room. Like, okay, if we meet this person here, we can go and get this comic here, the comic sign here. Like the way we would work Artist Artist Alley. I remember the one year, I think between me and him, we got almost 400 comics signed in a weekend because we had Artist Alley down like to a science. So again, if any of our listeners are going to New York Comic Con, again, I know some people have hit me and Andy up privately and want to meet up or want to just hang out or again just want to just take pictures of whatever Andy is dressing up as. Please let us know. You guys know how to get hold of me.
Right. Well, that being said, I suppose we should probably talk about some Stardom because, Matt, we say that a broken clock is right twice a day, and it's happened twice in a week. We've actually recorded, and the big news of the week has actually dropped the day we're recording, so we can actually talk about it, which is a rare case. But it has happened. The Goddesses of Stardom tag league teams and blocks have been announced, so that's mainly what we're going to be talking about today, especially in the news segment. There's lots of little bits of news to talk about from the world of Stardom, and we are going to be talking about those two shows, the first one from Osaka and the second one from Komatsu in Ishikawa. There is a third one from Bolford Toyama. That was on Monday, but unfortunately it didn't drop on Stardom World till this morning, as we record 16th, the Wednesday, so we just haven't had time to watch it. So we will tag that on to our New Blood 16 review next week. So all of that to look forward to. But Matt Turner, before we go into any of that, what I pray tell me is coming up on the Patreon this week?
On Patreon, our alternate commentary takes a look back at last year's 5-star Grand Prix as we continue on Gaikakuja month as Mariah May takes on Julian, an absolutely sleeper, one of the best matches of the tournament. So that dropped as far as alternate commentary goes. That's already on your feed. And then next week, our alternate commentary will be the finals of last year's Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Tournament as Crazy Star, May Sarah, and Suzu Suzuki take on the team of Divine Kingdom of Micah and one Megan Bain. Also on the we released just this past week was Tag Team Breakdown as myself and Andy Header break down an absolutely fantastic instant classic tag match from World Climax back in 2022 as FWC defend the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championships against Black Desire, Momo Watanabe, and Starlight Kid. That was a really, really fun one to go back and break down with my good buddy Andy Header. And later on this month, myself and Andy Header will be doing our top 5 favorite Gaikakuja matches, basically any matches that have any foreign wrestlers in them. And then I actually just sealed the deal, coming back to the Stardom Cast Extra, back to the Patreon sometime later this month. Our good friend, one Scotty Wrestling, as I watched that Mako Satomura tag from Tokyo Joshi Pro the other day, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And not only was it fantastic, but inspired me to do a what if myself and Scotty Wrestling were able to book 5 matches between Stardom versus Tokyo Joshi Pro. So that's going to be a real, real fun one. I only know a handful of stuff of Tokyo Joshi Pro. Now that I have Wrestle Universe because of Marigold, I'm able to go back and watch some of their shows. But I'm really impressed by a lot of their talent. Obviously, nobody, in my opinion, knows Joshi Wrestling or knows Tokyo Joshi Pro better than one Scotty Wrestling. So he'll be back on the Patreon feed sometime later this month. So yeah, there's all that. Some great stuff. And again, if you're new to the Stardom Cast Extra, we know we have a lot of new Patreon members that not only is there great stuff that's on there now, some great stuff coming up in the back catalog that we've been able to put together over the last 2 years or so is really, really massive as we always try to give more bang for your buck.
Absolutely. And I cannot wait to share some of the stuff that we have got going on behind the scenes. Just want to give a shout out to Chendu Obioha. I hope I've pronounced that right. I'm so sorry. I've been practicing that for the last 20 minutes to try and get that right. For joining our Patreon, for being our latest patron. Thank you so, so much. And thank you to everyone who is supporting us over on patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. Just a quick programming note: the Marigold Standard this week will not be released till Monday, partly because of the glut of shows, and partly because obviously Matt is taking some well-earned R&R time to go to New York Comic Con. So we will be reviewing those 3 Marigold shows on Monday, and also previewing that stacked Korakuen Hall show that they have got coming up on Thursday. Cannot wait for that show, Mr. Turner. Let's move straight into the news then. We might as well. And obviously the big thing coming out of Stardom this week is the 14th Goddess of Stardom Tag League, which begins on October 26th, just 10 days away as we record. Stardom had a press conference today announcing both the teams and the blocks and the schedule, and a little bit more as well. We're going to talk a little bit about how the format has changed compared to previous years. But perhaps most importantly, let's delve into the teams for this year. So we'll start with Blue Goddess. These are your teams. Hate Supreme, which is the team of Momo Watanabe and Tekla. Saori Poi, Saori Ano, and Natsupoi. Mad Tiger Girl, which is Suzu Suzuki and Starlight Kid. The returning Wingori, Hanan, and Saya Ida. Star Fox, Meisera, and Kohaku, making her debut in the tournament. Pro Wrestling Waves Kohaku. Sakura Damon, which is Aya Sakura and Yuna Mizumori. Devil Princess, the current reigning New Blood Tag Team Champions Azusa Inaba and Rina. Team Classroom, which is just a tremendous name, Lady C and Hina. Lady C, obviously, formerly I believe a home economics teacher, and Hina, of course, still in school. So I think they're going for a student and teacher dynamic, which is just brilliant. And then finishing off that block, Reckless Fantasy, Waka Tsukiyama, and Rian. So that finishes off Blue Goddess. Red Goddess then is as follows: Tokameki Purin a la mode. That is their legitimate name, Tam Nakano, and Sayaka Kurora. I believe Tokimeki is exciting or excited, and Purin is pudding. So I believe their tag team name is something to do with being excited about pudding. There we are. Psy Queen.
I'm sorry, I want that t-shirt, by the way. Oh my God. Sorry, go ahead, brother. That's amazing.
Psy Queen, Konami, and Saya Kamatani. They probably win the competition for best name going into this. Probably closely followed by Star Fox. Peach Rock make their return for the first time since 2022. Mayu Iwatani and Momokogo. BMI 2000, Natsuko Tora, and Ruaka. Concave Anacon Convex. They make a return, though they were only known as Anacon last year. Suri and Saki Kashima. The God's Eye team of Tomoka Inaba and Rana Yagami, who are playfully known as Inaba and Yagami. O2 Line, Azumi and Miyu Amasaki. Cup High Mate, Maika and Hanako. And then Red Goddess block is rounded off with FWC, Koguma, and Hazuki. So before we go into everything else, Matt, a couple of things. The Hate Supreme team, Momo Watanabe and Tekla. Tekla, of course, still has her arm in a cast. She did drop a video message in, typically foul-mouthed. It was great. Basically, she's going to do everything she can to be present at the Tag League, but didn't promise anything. So that she is announced for the Tag League. Especially as she's one half of the Goddess of Stardom champions, but it isn't 100% confirmed that she will make it. Saki Kashima returning from injury, Hanan returning from injury as well, but unfortunately, something we are going to be talking about a bit later. Xena went down with a knee injury at the show in Ishikawa. Did a slingshot plancha over the top rope and then just didn't get up again. From the camera angle, you couldn't quite see what happened, but unfortunately it was confirmed by Waka Tsukiyama during this press conference that she has torn a ligament in her knee, which unfortunately sounds like an extensive amount of time on the sideline, which is just heartbreaking for her. She really feels like she's really hitting a stride at the moment. There's so many people that are impressed with how much Xena has improved, and to hit a roadblock like this is never good. Of course, we at the Stardom cast wish her the speediest of speedy recoveries, but of course that's now Amisori, Kaori Oniyama, and Xena out with differing ligament issues in their knees. So yeah, not a great time. But Matt, that probably explains why we have Maika and Hanako and Waka Tsukiyama and Rian, because I imagine that Xena would have been tagging with Maika. Hanako and Waka Tsukiyama had already announced that they were going to be a part of Tag League as Rice or Bread, which is just phenomenal tag name. But obviously, I think a little bit of last-minute jiggery-pokery has led to the teams that we've got. Rian gets a big opportunity, taking part in her first Goddess of Stardom Tag League. I know that a couple of people, myself included, are a little bit disappointed the fact that we don't have Meltear and that we don't have Crazy Star. However, that is very much negated by the sheer depth of talent that we have. And let's not forget, yes, we do not have Crazy Star, but we do get Suzu Suzuki and Starlight Kid, which immediately freshens things up. We've got Meisera and Kohaku. Kohaku, who was very impressive last time out in Stardom. Tomoka Inaba and Rani Yagami. You know, we've still got established teams. O2 Line, Peach Rock, Sayori Poi, but it feels fresh. And Matt, you've said it before, this feels the deepest that the Tag League has ever felt in terms of Stardom. And it's made teams like FWC feel like a huge deal, as the fact that they have been in, you know, every tournament now since 2021. They're tournament veterans and everyone's favorites, I think, if you're just looking in terms of tag team chemistry, in terms of experience, in terms of, you know, the fact that they have been teaming together, as I've mentioned, for 4 years. 3 years, Rob. Basic maths. Come on, you can do this. 4 tournaments, 3 years is what I meant. Surely they have to be up there as one of the favorites, if not in Red Block, the whole tournament.
Yeah, again, this is a possibility that we do see FWC being the first team in the history of this tournament to win the tournament twice. No other team's been able to do it. And why not? They are white hot right now. They have a really cool angle going on with Hazuki. And again, we know the ending of that story is eventually Hazuki getting the Wonder of Stardom Championship. I hope so. Maybe if we keep putting it out in the universe, it'll eventually happen. But hell, we've been putting it out in the universe for the last 2 years. But regardless, they're doing really good stuff with Hazuki. And then even Kagama is the one that had to really snap Hazuki kind of out of the funk that she is. So you have a really cool story going on with FWC. And again, my opinion, the best tag team, not just in Stardom, but in all of wrestling. I'm just a massive fan of them. So yeah, it is a possibility that while we're getting more white belt wins for Natsupoi and we're waiting for Hazuki to do something, why not have FWC either make a run or win this entire tournament and then give them maybe a proper 4, 5, 6 month run with a goddess belts? I mean, that's a possibility, but there's a lot going on here. But I kind of want you just kind of go back to a thing that you said and kind of get rid of the one negative that's kind of, again, it's a small negative that's kind of looming over the announcement of these teams. You're absolutely right. No Meltear, no Crazy Star, and no, a lot of people thought we were going to get Starbomb, Azumi, and Starlight Kid. Those 3 teams aren't in the tournament, but those 6 wrestlers are. It's not like, well, they're not in the tournament. They're not going to be in Stardom. They're, we're being replaced by random independent workers from New Jersey. That's not happening here. Those teams are in the tournament. And because we don't get Meltear, we do get a very interesting team of Tam and Sayaka Kurora, which is good for Sayaka getting the rub from the World of Stardom champion in one, Tam Nakano. And we don't get Meltear. However, we get Sayori Poi. And folks, we know we have new listeners all the time to the Stardom cast and new watchers every month to Stardom. And welcome. We hope that you're enjoying yourselves. If you've never seen Sayori Poi, Soriano, and Natsupoi wrestle, I'm going to give you 3 of the highest recommendations of matches to watch. From last year, 2023, watch Sayori Poi versus Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May for the Goddess of Stardom champions. And then watch Sayori Poi versus Crazy Star, Suzu Suzuki, and Mei Seira for the Goddess of Stardom champions. And then from night one of the Cinderella tournament, Saori Poi taking on the team of Chihiro Hashimoto and Sari. And if you were not blown away by those 3 matches, folks, I got nothing for you. I got nothing for you. So again, I wanted meltear in this tournament in the worst way, but we're getting Saori Poi. I got no problem with that. I obviously wanted Starbomb in this tournament, Zumi and Starlight Kid, but we're getting O2 line. They're established tag team. They're fantastic. Miyuan Masaki is on the best run she's ever been on. And Azumi, even though she's been wrestling for over 10 years, this is the best year she's ever had. She was a low-key MVP in that loaded 5-star tournament, and the two of them together are constantly getting better. So I got no problem with that. And then you got a really, really cool team in Suzu Suzuki and Starlight Kid teaming up. So that's awesome as well. And again, the fact that we don't have Crazy Star, but we are getting Suzu Suzuki and Starlight Kid as a team. I got no problem with that, Rob. That's basically the equivalent of like if we were going to go to a steakhouse. Like, say me and you were going to go to a steakhouse. Let's just call it Micah's Steakhouse, right, for the sake of argument. We were going to go to Micah's Steakhouse, and I said, Rob, what kind of steak are you going to want to get? And you're like, you know what, Matt? I really, really like a porterhouse steak. I think they're really good, but the prime rib at Micah's Steakhouse is just a little bit better. And here's all the fantastic sides I'm going to get. And I really hope they have my favorite cold beer on draft. We go to said steakhouse, and they don't have your prime rib. However, they have the porterhouse steak, which it's just as good. And all your sides that you want it, your sweet potato, your garlic shrimp, you want it grilled with mushrooms, and they have your cold beer on tap, and it's a frosted mug, and they keep it coming. Even though they don't have those 3 teams, the teams we're getting in kind of a replacement are just as good, and everything else surrounding it, FWC, Wingori, Mayu, and Momo Kogo are doing fantastic. Kamatani and Konami. Yes, please. Sure. That's a team I didn't know I wanted to see until I saw the graphic come up on my phone on Twitter this morning. I was like, hell yeah, I'll take that. Hell yeah, I'll take that. I like how when it comes to this Stardom tag league, and you just said it, or the Stardom tag division, excuse me, you just said it so perfectly, partner. This is this is the deepest Stardom's tag division has ever been, in my opinion, but maybe the deepest any tag division for any wrestling promotion that I've ever seen has been. I mean, I can't remember a time. I'd have to go back maybe 12, 13 years to the Ring of Honor tag division. It was the Briscoes, the Kings of Wrestling, Jacob and Whitmer, Generico and Steen, those great, the American Wolves, all those great tag teams where it's just like great tag match after great tag match after great tag match. And that's what Stardom's been able to do for the past few years, but especially this past year. There's been so many great tag matches with so many different teams. And the fact that we're getting a lot of these great teams, and again, some mix up. I'm really excited to see Suzu Suzuki and Starlight Kid because we've seen them tag up in the past, and we've seen them in these multi-person matches since Neo Genesis has been formed, and they're really, really good together. So again, I'm a little upset that those 3 teams aren't in the tournament, but what we're getting instead is almost as good, and everything else, FWC in the tournament, Tekla, Momo Watanabe, I think they're going to be great in BMI 2000. A lot of really, really great teams, and I'm really excited for it. And again, Saori Poi as well. I mean, look at some of these potential matchups, or some of these not potential, some of these matchups we're getting. I think I text you the fact that we're getting Wingori versus Saori Poi. I'm super excited for it. So again, I expect this. The expectations for me on this tournament are really, really high. I'm expecting this to be the greatest Goddess of Stardom tag team tournament Stardom has ever done, with the exception of the big I word. As long as we don't get any more eyes, I'm not going to say it. It's not ice cream. As long as we don't get any more eyes in this tournament, I think we're good to go. But again, I expect this to be the best tournament that they've ever done, just based on the quality of talent that Stardom has right now.
So obviously 18 teams in total, 2 blocks of 9. It is the largest field for the Goddess of Stardom tournament. The previous biggest was 16 teams that they managed to put out in 2022. I have a feeling that last year's would have been, had they not had the just overwhelming amount of I word that they had last year. It was ridiculous just how many I words there were last year, and how many teams were ripped apart, and how many teams had to be sort of, not necessarily cobbled together, but sort of mismatched across factions and all sorts. And yeah, thankfully, touch wood, no such issues here. But yes, largest field since 2022. However, there is a little bit of a difference in this year compared to other years. So in other years, whenever it has been a block tournament, don't forget in 2013 and 2015, it was a single elimination tournament. Every other year, it has been a round robin tournament with the top team from each block going on to face off in a final match. This year, it is slightly different, more akin to the 5-star Grand Prix this year, or the way that they ran the G1 Climax as well. In fact, I think it is the exact structure of the G1 Climax. So obviously you will have all of your block matches. However, as opposed to just the top team going through, you have got the top 3 from the block going through. Your top team will then receive a bye and go straight into the semi-finals. Second and third will then have a playoff, with the winner going on to face the first place team in the semi-finals, and then obviously you will have your final of the 2 semi-final winners. So a little bit different, Matt. However, it does mean that there is significantly more to play for. I am a fan of this format, maybe not with the third place as well. However, we saw with the 5-star Grand Prix how well it worked for people like Starlight Kid, for Hannon, who had these extended runs in this tournament and felt like big deals because of it. Because you have effectively got a third of the field confirmed to go through into the playoffs or the postseason, if you will, it does give the opportunity for surprise teams. Maybe we will see an O2 line make their way into the final. Maybe we'll see a Wingori in the final. You know, Sayori Poi, Sai Queen. There are a lot of different teams that can make it through to the final now that they have opened it up. Just quickly before I throw to you, Matt, the playoffs and the semi-finals are both due to take place at Act City Hamamatsu on the 7th of December. The final will then take place again at Act City Hamamatsu on the following day on the 8th of December. But Matt, what is your thoughts on the switch in structure? Are you a fan? And who are your early favourites to make it through to the finals?
A great question, buddy. And you have to change things up. And we've seen Stardom this year, again with the new regime, how much they've changed their tournaments up. The Triangle Derby, even though it's only 2 years old, it was a one-night tournament. We saw the Cinderella tournament. It's the only, and I could be wrong, I don't think I am, it's the only time that they did the Cinderella tournament where there was no time limit draws. There was no double eliminations. Every tournament bracket was filled out. The 5-star Grand Prix, they were able to do the 4 blocks, and we were able to have the 8 playoff wrestlers go in there. And I think each and every one was really, really good. And they're trying something different here. And if it doesn't work out, they can always go back to the old format. But you have to evolve. You have to evolve to change things up. So I have no problem with that. Not only that, Rob, but here in the United States of America, the most watched sport is the NFL, the National Football League. And they're divided up into 2 divisions, very much how we have the red and the blue. They're divided up into the AFC and the NFC. And once the 17 weeks of regular season is over, whoever has the best record, they're the number 1 seed, and they get an automatic bye when the other 6, there's 7 teams in the playoffs that go. And the other 6 teams will then play, and then basically then the 1 seed takes on the lowest seed of each thing on their way to the Super Bowl, where this is very much similar. Whoever has the 1 seed in these blocks, they get a bye, and they wait to the other teams to play. So again, that's very for the fact that Stardom is growing so well here in the United States. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're starting to get more English content, the English commentary and the subtitles and whatnot that they're putting up on Stardom World on YouTube, that this is going to help a lot of us out, because we look at it like, oh, that's exactly what the NFL's been doing the past few years. So I like the similarities there. To answer your question, my friend, the 3 teams, again, this isn't my official prediction. The 3 teams off the top of my head that I think are going to qualify for Red Stars, I'm going to say Kamatani and Konami. I'm going to say O2 line. And I'm going to say FWC. I do see Peach Rock making a really good shot for it, because doing a great job on these backstage promos where Mayu's telling Momo Coco, like, you need to start winning. Like, you need to start winning. Now, they might not win the whole tournament, or maybe they will. because again, Mayu's on the run of her life, which is saying something. Because again, I consider her, and I believe you as well, as the greatest female wrestler of all time. And Momo Kogo's so great, and she's so endearing, and she's improving so much. So I wouldn't be shocked if you see Mayu and Momo Kogo go through or even win the whole thing. But my early picks are going to be again Konami and Kamatani, O2 Line, and FWC from Red. From Blue, Wingori. I'm going to say Saori Poi, and I'm going to say Suzu and Starlight Kid. I think the Red Stars is a little trickier, more to predict. I think with Blue Stars, I just think with Waka and Rianne, I think they're going to be eating a whole bunch of L's. I think Lady C and Hina are going to put up a really good tournament. I really do, but
Yeah.
I see them maybe going like 50%. I wouldn't be heartbroken if Rina and Azusa Inaba went through because I'm such a huge fan of them, but I just don't see it. And I don't see Kohagu and Mei Sarah, and I don't see Aya and Yuna Mizumori. So I think that, I mean, yeah, you have the tag champs in there as well. So it would make sense for maybe Momo, Watanabe, and Tekla to go through. But I think the Red Stars is a little more trickier to fill out. With the Blue Stars, I think maybe there's like 4 teams that can qualify for that 3-star bracket or that 3-place bracket. But again, I wouldn't be heartbroken if they threw something different in there, and they did push Lady C and Hina. They did have a big push with Azusa Inaba and Rina. I think that would mean so much more for the New Blood brand. So those would be my 3 teams, 6 teams from our 6 teams total. How about you, partner? I'm going to ask you the question you just asked me. Who do you think the 6 teams that go through the playoff are?
It's interesting because you look at Blue Stars and you've said, it is easier to call than the Red Stars. I keep calling it Red Stars, Red Goddess, Blue Goddess. Obviously, you've got the tag champs in there, Momo and Tekla. That's going to change significantly if Tekla isn't able to take part. If Tekla isn't able to take part, I don't see Hate Supreme going through. If Tekla is fit, Momo and Tekla go through. In my opinion, you want to keep your champion strong. I think Saori Poi go through. And then for me, it's between Mad Tiger Girl and Wingori. I think you're absolutely right. I think Lady C and Hina, especially during the 5-star Grand Prix, really, really cemented themselves as a really cohesive tag team and worked really well together. Devil Princess, Azusa Inaba, and Rina, let's not forget they're New Blood Tag Team Champions at the moment. So, yes, it's probably easier to see who isn't going through out of Blue Goddess, but, I mean, the way I always look at it is, who's going to eat the pins? And, with Aya Sakura and Yuna Mizumori, it's going to be Aya Sakura, you would have thought. Azusa Inaba and Rina, it can realistically be either of them. Lady C and Hina, it can be Hina. Reckless Fantasy, it can be Rianne. Star Fox, it could be Kohaku. You haven't got to protect Kohaku. She's a member of Pro Wrestling Wave. Who on earth do you pin out of Mad Tiger Girl? Suzu Suzuki and Starlight Kid, who are both on incredible runs at the moment. Wingori, you could argue Hanan or Sairida, but they're one of the only established teams in that block. So there is arguments to be made. Oh, I'm going to say Mad Tiger Girl go through. So Hate Supreme, Saori Poi, Mad Tiger Girl. If Tekla isn't fit for the tournament, I think it'll be Saori Poi, Mad Tiger Girl, and Wingori. But again, it's pick a name. It could quite literally be anyone. In terms of Red Goddess, I do agree with you. I do think it is slightly easier to call. I think FWC have got to go through. I think O2 Line go through. And I think Psy Queen go through. Don't be surprised if Maika and Hanako are up there at the end. I wouldn't be surprised if Tomoka Inaba and Ron Yagami make a interesting comeback throughout that. Natsukatora and Ruaka as well were really solid in last year's tag league, got 8 points, I think. So they're always there or thereabouts. I think what this does in terms of the structure, if you go back to 2022, so you've got 7-Up, who Takahashi and you, they only lost 1 match out of 7. It was glaringly obvious who was going to go through out of that block. And I think what happens is here, you open up a lot more intrigue as you head towards those final block nights. And I think that was something that was really good with the 5-star Grand Prix as well. It was so much more difficult to to sort of ascertain who was going to go through, especially in second, because you'd opened up more possibilities. And I think here that's done exactly the same thing. We've said it before, in terms of tournaments, tag team wrestling will always, always, always be lower in terms of excitement levels than singles wrestling, because people, singles wrestling is the height of wrestling. And no, Matt, I'm sorry. The G1 Climax, the New Japan Cup, Cinderella Tournament, 5-Star Grand Prix, those are the tournaments that people are like, right, cannot wait for these tournaments. The Tag League, New Japan's Tag League, it's okay, it's there. I don't think there are many people that are, scheduling their whole life around the Tag League the way they do for the G1 Climax. And I think that's the same for Stardom as well. And I think, maybe the tired formula was something to do with that. I think it's more likely to be tag team wrestling. But the fact that we have freshened it up, as you mentioned, I think that's going to really keep the excitement levels alive as we inch towards, the 7th and the 8th of December in Act City. Again, tournament due to begin October 26th in Shinjuku Sumitomo Hall. It will be live on Stardom World, and the day after it will be live as well on the 27th in Korakuen Hall. So I'll be honest, Matt, I can always take or leave the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. I do a podcast on Stardom. It's the tournament, with the exception of the Triangle Derby, it's the tournament that I'm least excited about. Not because Stardom don't have an immense tag division and do multi-women tag matches like nobody else, but it's a case of, I don't know, there's just something about a tag tournament. However, this year, whether it's just the influx of talent that they've got, or whether it's the new structure, or whether it's the, it could quite literally be anyone in this tournament. It really could. There's no nailed on favorites, really. There's FWC, who are arguably a stronger team because of their longevity. O2 Line, the same. This will be their third tournament together in a row. Peach Rock, they've tagged before. Wingori, they've tagged before. But I don't think there is anyone nailed on to go, yeah, they're definitely going to make the final. And that adds to the excitement as well. But yeah, obviously, we will give a full preview next week alongside our New Blood 16 review. Matt, is there anything you would like to add in terms of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League before we go on to the card for New Blood 16, which has just been announced?
No, I just want to add on real quick. You're absolutely right. Singles wrestling is always going to be bigger. The G1 is always bigger. The 5-star is always bigger. Even the Champion Carnivals for All Japan was always bigger, and than the Tag League. But you're absolutely right. But I gotta say, in my 35 years and counting of just obsessed fandom of the greatest sport in the world, professional wrestling, I've never been as excited for a tag team tournament in any wrestling company the way that I am for this tournament. I literally, again, I think I was telling you before we went on air, I was literally just checking my phone when I went to bed last night, and they said there's going to be a press conference at like 6 a.m. Tomorrow, 6 a.m. my time for this tournament. And I don't know what I was more excited about, partner, the fact that they're announcing the teams, or the fact that, again, once again, they're announcing news before we record a podcast, which, again, it's insane that it happened. Might have to play the lotto. No, in all seriousness, I was literally at the gym and I kept refreshing my Twitter page, and I think I text you. I'm like, they're announcing the teams. They're announcing the teams. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The singles tournaments are always bigger. They're always better. Rightfully so. The singles wrestling just draws more than tag team wrestling. But again, I've never been as excited for any tag tournament for any wrestling company the way I am for this Goddess of Stardom tournament. I think it's just because of how great the tag wrestling has been these 10 months in Stardom. It's just been absolutely crazy and insane. But yeah, super pumped for it, and super excited to review and preview all the great action with you, partner.
So, New Blood 16 will be airing on the 19th of October, which is this coming Saturday, in Bellsal Shinjuku Grand in Tokyo. The full card has been announced and is as followed. Singles match, Aimi from Sendai Girls will be taking on Rian. In tag team action, Lady C and Ron Yagami of God's Eye will be taking on Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora of the Cosmic Angels. In tag team action, the Neo Genesis team of Starlight Kid and Miyu Amasaki will be taking on Yuna from Sendai Girls and Spike Nishimura, who you may remember is a part of the Sendai Girls Jaja Uma tournament, which Rian and Aya Sakura are currently in. Well, Aya Sakura is Rian's now been eliminated. Hina and Tomoka Inaba of God's Eye will be taking on Fox and Flame of Pro Wrestling Wave, which is Kohaku and Honaka, I think. And then in the New Blood Tag Team Championship match, Devil Princess, Rina and Azuse Inaba, the champions, making their first title defense, 90 days holding the belt, by the way, against Rice or Bread, Waka Tsukiyama, and Hanako. Matt, obviously, the big thing here is the title match, and I'll get your thoughts on that shortly. But what do you think about the rest of the card?
Rest of the card seems solid enough. And again, this is this weekend coming up, correct, sir?
19th, yes.
Did they mention how to watch it? I know they usually go on YouTube. Did they mention YouTube or Stardom World yet?
Nothing yet.
Sorry. That again, where do I get all my news? From you, as literally we're recording. So, hey, I asked the important questions. What about baseball jerseys optional to wear into this venue, Rob? That's what the people want to know.
That is what the people want to know.
They've done a great job building up Waka and Hanako, literally to the point where they gave them a great name, Rice or Bread. So super excited for the main event. And we talked about this maybe 2 or 3 months ago on the podcast, how there really wasn't that many new blood shows. And it seems like there's almost like one every 3 or 4 weeks now, which is great because you're getting the New Blood brand out there. And you're getting a lot of wrestlers that I've never seen wrestle before. I've only seen wrestle a few times. I like the fact that Kuhagu is on this show because we're going to be seeing a lot of her in the Goddess of Stardom tournament. So I think this is a really good job and able to, for the Stardom audience, the Stardom fans that have never really seen much of her wrestle before. So I think that's a really good shout. I'm a big fan of Yuna from Sendai Girls, and I've seen a little bit of Spike, so I'm excited for their match. And again, this is another really quick card. I think the last 2 New Blood shows, I think they were done in under 2 hours. So I think this is kind of a really good appetizer as we're starting to roll on to the end of the month, to the start of the Goddess of Stardom tag team tournament. So yeah, it looks like a fun enough card. And again, it's really cool seeing different wrestlers that I've seen either very little of or haven't seen wrestle at all, wrestling some of my favorite wrestlers in Stardom. Because again, that's almost like a tryout to wrestle for Stardom. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. And correct me if I'm wrong, partner, I believe, I don't know if you have this on the news, and I apologize if I'm kind of yanking the carpet underneath it. Isn't this weekend that tag match with Red Energy versus Shuri and somebody else? I think that's that weekend as well.
Yeah, it's been announced for the 18th of October in Sendai Pit. It's Shuri and Dash Chisako against Red Energy, Mika Iwata and Miyuki Takase. So that, I believe, is due to our live on Wrestle Universe. That's going to be really, really, really exciting. But in terms of excitement, there's some other interesting news as well. So yes, Stardom announced the card for New Blood 16. They also announced the card for October the 20th, which is the Sunday, and that's going to be in Fujisan Mess. I'm not going to go through the entire card just yet. We'll do that at the end. What is exciting is that we have got a strong women's title challenger final battle royal. So we've got 8 women in that, okay? Saori Anou, Starlight Kid, Hazuki, Koguma, Lady C, Hanako, Konami, and Ruaka. 2 winners of that match will go on to Fighting Spirit Unleashed 2024, where there will be a strong women's title challenger finals 4-way battle. So a number 1 contendership 4-way, where Anna Jay has already been confirmed, the 2 members of the Stardom roster, and a mystery opponent as well. So the 2 winners of that, I'll just go through that again: Saori Anou, Starlight Kid, Hazuki, Koguma, Lady C, Hanako, Konami, and Ruaka. The 2 winners of that will go through and will be present at Fighting Spirit Unleashed. That's going to be in Lowell Memorial Auditorium, Lowell, Massachusetts, Friday, November the 8th. So more Stardom participation in the States, Matt. If I was a betting man, and we know that I'm not because goodness knows I'd have lost a lot of money through this company, I would be putting a rather hefty bet on Starlight Kid being one of those going through.
I totally agree because she is so engaging with the U.S. audience, and we saw that firsthand a few times over here in Philadelphia. She was the biggest, even though at the time she was a heel, she was the biggest baby face on that show, that Spark Joshi show that we saw at the world famous Monster Factory. So I agree, it's going to be Starlight Kid. As far as the other fourth one, maybe Kunami, because you may shake things up. Kunami, that would be I mean, betting with my heart, I'd say Hazuki. And I know, again, we mentioned New York Comic Con at the start of the show last year. I got to meet one Mercedes Monet and could not have been any nicer. But I did mention about her three-way match we had with Hazuki and Azumi. And she mentioned how much she loved wrestling. She didn't call it the People's Champion, but in my head she did. The People's Champion that is Hazuki. I'm just adding things here, buddy. That's what we call adding value in the sales world. But I'm going to say Starlight Kid. I'm going to say Kunami, but that's if I'm betting with my head. If I'm betting with my heart, I'm still saying Starlight Kid. Soriano wouldn't be a bad shout. I think just her stone cold charisma and how great she's in the ring, I think that would get over huge. And again, this show is in the Boston area. Again, where our good friend Scotty Wrestling lives, in the Boston area. The Boston area, they're a very passionate crowd when it comes to their fan base. Whether it's the Red Sox, whether it's the Celtics, whether it's the Patriots, or whether it's the Bruins, or whether it's pro wrestling, they're a very passionate fan base. So Starlight Kid, I totally agree. I'd throw a few dollars, not much, that she is one. I wouldn't really say no to any of the other those wrestlers. You said Hanako's in it, right?
She is, yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if it's her because she was over in the States for the month and got over really, really well. So, and I know that New Japan Strong brand, they're really big on Hanako. I wouldn't be shocked if it's her. I wouldn't say no to Soriano, but my pick would be Kunami and Starlight Kid, brother.
Oh, I really want it to be Hazuki. Simply because, we saw how over Momo Watanabe was when she came out to challenge Maika in the ECW arena, and she got this astronomical pop, even though she is the heeliest heel to ever heel. Imagine the pop Hazuki would get, because we know how over Hazuki is in the States. She was the person that everyone went, I can't believe she's not coming over. Her and Natsupoi, everyone was like, I can't believe they're not coming over. So I'd love to, and plus it could be the shot in the arm for Hazuki to then go on, maybe, in a couple of months, to go on that white belt train again and challenge Natsupoi again. Again, I completely agree with you. I'm not turning my nose up at anyone. Soriano, I'm full of praise for Soriano. She's velvet smooth in the ring. Just even on these two house shows we're going to be talking about today, velvet smooth. She really is just incredible. I think she'd be really good in this match. Koguma, can you imagine the bear dance? It would just go over massively. I think you're right about Hanako. I think Hanako did a really good job while she was in the States, has come back, has carried that on. It's going to be...
Rob,
Go on.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Real quick now, I'll say, so the winner of this four-way challenges Mercedes for the Strong title, right?
Correct.
Did they say when and where? Did they give a date?
No.
Okay, so with all the Stardom participation, and again, there's a lot going on with Stardom between now and going into December. So wouldn't be shocked if the winner of that four-way...
I know where you're going with this.
It is Sumo Hall, right? So again, you're going to want to try to draw over 3,000 tickets. And just because we've seen some really great AEW participation in Stardom. Again, Anna Jay had a fantastic run in the 5-star Grand Prix, improved massively. We saw Tony Storm doing 3 shows and a press conference for Stardom and lead up to that match with Mayu, which again, they broke the record for that venue for Stardom. So, and Mercedes is very adamant that she wants to go back to Japan. And she said that one of the main reasons why she signed with AEW is because she can do the things that she wants to do outside of AEW and wrestle for different promotions, a la Stardom. So I would not be shocked if we see Mercedes on that show on the 29th. Again, she's going to be over for that Tokyo Dome show on the 5th, regardless. I have no doubt that she's not going to be there because she's going to want to be there and she's a big star and they're going to want to sell a lot of tickets for that show. So again, I think she's going to be on that show in Sumo Hall. Why not do it there? Again, maybe I'm just putting it out there, buddy, and you're going to say, Matt, don't do this. Maybe it's Hazuki. Why not do Hazuki versus Mercedes or Mercedes versus Starlight Kid? That'll match. Either one of those matches will draw a boatload of money and sell a lot of tickets in Sumo Hall. Regardless, I'm really excited for it, buddy. I'm really, really excited for it.
I mean, we've also got Wrestle Dynasty coming up as well during Wrestle Kingdom week. So, and that's less than a month. Less than 2 months, should I say, after this number one contendership battle, this number one contendership four-way. So you have got the opportunity to maybe do one of those matches at Sumo Hall and then potentially run another one at Wrestle Dynasty in the Tokyo Dome. So again,
I think she'll be defending the TBS belt there. I think that obviously Tony Khan's going to have more clout than anybody. So I think she's going to be on both those shows, but why not do the New Japan Strong on the Stardom show and then at the joint show do the TBS there? Because again, the TBS belt is on TV more. It's in front of 5,000-6,000 people. It's in front of whatever they do, 1 million views or 500,000 views depending on what show. So there's a point there. I'm going to ask you another question. Now there's 4 people in this match, and we're going to consider Anna Jay and AW talent, and we have 2 Stardom talents there, and then a mystery person. What's the likelihood that the winner of this 4-way is a Stardom wrestler? Because I'm going to say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to say it's an 8. Let's say you, partner. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be a Stardom wrestler that comes out of this to challenge Mercedes Moné?
Well, I mean, there's 2 Stardom wrestlers in a match of 4, so the odds would say 50% at least. It depends who X is. If that turns out to be, Becky Lynch or something, then obviously we're looking at different odds. It's not going to be Becky Lynch, by the way. But I don't know. It's an interesting thought. I would be surprised if Starlight Kid goes through, and let's say it's Starlight Kid and Lady C, just for argument's sake. I would be very, very surprised if Starlight Kid then didn't go on and win. I know that they being AEW, will want Anna Jay pushed. However, I think the chances are you are going to do this on a Stardom show. So it makes sense for it to be Mercedes Moné versus a Stardom wrestler. And again, think what you want about Mercedes Moné. There's a lot of discourse about her on the internet, which I tend to just ignore, to be perfectly honest. But she will draw tickets. She was a huge reason as to why Stardom did such good numbers at All-Star Grand Queendom 2023. So, that is going to help numbers when they're trying to get a big number in Sumo Hall on 29th of December. She is an international star. Her versus Starlight Kid, her versus Hazuki, they're both money, pardon the pun, matches. And I think, no disrespect whatsoever, with the exception of Saori Anou, I don't think the others are quite on that level. Koguma, Lady C, Hanako, Konami, Ruaka, I don't think they're quite on that level. I think if you are looking to exhibit your brand and then put forward someone to challenge Mercedes Moné at Sumo Hall, you are looking at either Saori Anou, Starlight Kid, or Hazuki. In my humble opinion, anyway. But yeah, anyway, the rest of that card, by the way, because there is a rest of the card at Fujisan Mess on October 20th. You've got a singles match where Sayaka Kurora takes on Rian. You've got a 3-way. Syuri and Rani Yagami of God's Eye takes on Enex's V, Maika and Waka Tsukiyama, and Hate, Natsukatora and Rina. You've then got a singles match, Hanan taking on Momo Kogo. And then you've got a 6-woman tag as well. Tam Nakano, Natsuko, and Yuna Mizumori of Cosmic Angels taking on Mei Seira, Suzu Suzuki, and Miyu Amasaki of Neo Genesis as well. Just having a look. There's no Azumi on that card.
Interesting. Maybe giving her time off. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
makes
we
sense.
mentioned this before. Let's rotate. There's nothing crazy going on. Let's rotate some of the Stardom talent. They really, really been putting in a lot of work, especially Izumi. So, yeah, give her a weekend off, rest up.
Sure, why not? And then October the 27th is the Korakuen Hall show, where it will mainly be Goddess of Stardom Tag League matches. Dump Matsumoto and Zap have been confirmed to be there. And we've also got a high speed championship match that has now been confirmed for that card. Mei Seira, the champion, making her defense against Yuna Mizumori. So lots of good things in the next couple of weeks for Stardom, and more international exposure on top of that as well. Speaking of exposure, we have got a lot of Stardom talent in other companies. Matt has already mentioned Syuri is going to be taking part in the Sendai Girls show on October the 18th with Dash Yusako against Red Energy. BMI 2000, Natsukatora and Ruaka challenged for the Sendai Girls Tag Team Championships against the champions Team 200 kg, Yu and Chihiro Hashimoto. That was on the 14th of October in Sapporo. Yu and Chihiro Hashimoto retained when Hashimoto pinned Ruaka with a flying lariat. Sunday the 13th saw Momo Watanabe defeat Haruka Umasaki in the main event of Diana's Korakuen show. She hit the Peach Sunrise for the victory. However, lower on the card, the team of Rina and Hanoka were defeated by Nanami and Jaguar Yokota. And then finally announced for Evolution 25, Evolution Joshi Pro Wrestling's next big show. Hanako and Aya Sakura are scheduled to team together against Chi-Chi and Zones at this show, Wednesday 23rd of October in Shinkiba First Ring. And then final thing as well in regards to wrestlers wrestling outside Stardom, Aya Sakura is in the semi-finals of the Sendai Girls Jaja Uma tournament, where she will face either Chi-Chi or I can't remember who it is. She's in the semi-finals. Anyway, she's due to take, I think that's on Friday, with the final on Sunday. In fact, I've got the matchups here for you. So, Aya's due to face Yuna on Friday, and Chi-Chi is facing Enka. So they will, obviously, that will be the semi-finals. The final will then take place on Sunday. So Aya Sakura has a real chance of winning this tournament. Now, Matt, I don't know if you know, but very recently, PWI released the women's 250. It was low key, absolutely no discussion whatsoever on the internet about it at all. And by no chat about it, I mean for about 2 hours it was all over Twitter. Both Stardom and Marigold had significant coverage on the PWI Women's 250. Tony Storm came in at number 1. The top 10 PWI released on Twitter. And although the top 10 is primarily made up of women in the big US companies, WWE, AEW, and TNA, Tony Storm, number 1, Jordan Grace, number 2, and Rhea Ripley, number 3. They're your top 3. But huge congratulations must go to former World of Stardom champion Micah, who capped off a phenomenal year by finishing just outside the top 3 in 4th, and Marigold World Champion Sari, who has been ranked 6th overall. And not only does everyone that has watched Sari think that she should be rated higher, myself included, that's a wild achievement for someone who is effectively a freelancer. Not even effectively a freelancer. She is a freelancer. She has no technical home promotion, and yet she's 6th in the top 250 women. That is an astonishing achievement for Sari. And then, of course, you have a whole host of Stardom and Marigold's representation. Just the first couple in terms of Stardom: Maika 4th, Mayu Iwatani 14th, Mina Shirakawa 16th, Saori Ano 27th, Tam Nakano 28th, and Natsupoi 40th. And I'll go through the rest very shortly. Before we get into a conversation about it, Matt, because I know there's one in particular that we are certainly going to be talking about. The evaluation period that is covered by this is the 1st of October 2023 up until the 30th of September 2024. And it takes into account in-ring achievement, influence, technical ability, and competition. Now, with all that in mind, Matt, I still think Mayu Iwatani should be in the top 10. However, you look at that top 10. Toni Storm, Jordan Grace, Rhea Ripley, Maika, Steph Vaca, Sari, Bayley, Willow Nightingale, Mariah May. Huge congratulations to Stardom alum Mariah May, who's had a phenomenal year. And Athena at 10, which I think is absolutely deserved, even though she's out injured at the moment. I think the work she's done with the Ring of Honor Women's Championship, she absolutely deserves to be in that top 10. I think it was Big Beard Booty Daddy who said, yeah, okay, you can say who's in the top 10 or who should be in the top 10 or I can't believe my favorite isn't in the top 10 or blah, 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 blah. But who do you take out? And that's a very, very, very good point. Because, yes, you can argue that Mayu Iwatani is a significantly better wrestler than pretty much anyone in that top 10 and has actually beaten 3 of that top 10 in IWGP women's title defenses, including number 1, Toni Storm. But who do you knock down out of that top 10? And me and you were sort of having this discussion yesterday whilst we were recording the alternate commentary. And I don't know enough about Mexican wrestling to sort of say, should Steph Vaca be in that position? But that's the only one that I can possibly think that Mayu goes into the top 10 for. I think it's criminal Io Sky isn't up there. But those are the only 2 that I'm thinking, do you know what? They need to be up in the top. Again, this is a subjective list. Everyone's entitled to an opinion, and ultimately this is just someone else's opinion. It's like Dave Meltzer's match ratings that constantly draw the ire of the internet wrestling community. One thing that does make me laugh, and this is no disrespect to Liv Morgan whatsoever, but a wrestling list in which Liv Morgan is above both Io Sky and Mayu Iwatani does make me raise an eyebrow, Matt.
Yeah, considering the fact that, again, Mayu, probably her best year ever. Io, this is her best year since probably 2017. This is her best year that she's had since she's been over in the States. And don't get me wrong, she's had some really, really good years, especially in her NXT run. But what she's been able to do, winning the Money in the Bank, winning the WWE Championship. Again, this was winning the WWE Championship at SummerSlam last year. When she cashed in her Money in the Bank. Again, probably the second biggest show of the year, being able to draw so many viewers. I know on SmackDown, a majority of those Damage Control segments were like over 2 million views, which is insane. In my opinion, and probably yours as well. We were both there 2 nights of WrestleMania this past year, had the best match of those 2 nights. And those 2 nights were both really, really good, fantastic wrestling. I mean, with Sami Zayn and Gunther and, obviously Cody and Roman Reigns, there was some really great wrestling. But yeah, you look at the list, right? And myself and Andy Header were texting each other back and forth the night before they dropped this list, and we're in some group chats on Facebook with some of our friends that are involved in pro wrestling, whether it's in the ring or whether it's booking or announcing or whatever. So it's nice getting different perspectives on it. And me and Andy are the only ones, or Andy and I are the only ones that watch Stardom on a full-time basis in the chats that we were in, and we were all saying that not only should Mayu be in the top 10. Mayu should be in the top 3. I think even Andy, his list, when he gave his kind of makeshift list, had Mayu 1, Sari 2. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Sari, but again, she's a freelancer, right? And let me back up a little. I've been reading PWI since the 80s. I've been reading PWI before they even started the PWI 500 with the men's. So, and I understand the criteria. It always goes to the wrestlers that are in the bigger promotions. Like you look at like Masawa and Kawada and Kobashi, they were never number 1 before, which is absolutely crazy considering the fact how great their wrestling was from like 92 up until like 2000, 2001, because they're not in the bigger promotions. They're not on the WWF, the WWE. They're not on the AEW. They're not our WCW back in the day. So it's like you always look at the way these lists goes, and they always say, "Here's the criteria. This is what we picked." And usually, when you win the Royal Rumble, male or female, and then you go on to WrestleMania to capture the championship belt that you're going for, usually puts you at a number one spot. That's why I was like, I think Bayley's going to be number one, but you can make a strong case for Toni Storm, right? And that's exactly what happened. So I have no problem with that. Now, Rob, I'm just going literally off the top of my head. I don't have anything written down. If you're asking me what my top 10 is, and again, the fact that Sari is a freelancer, and the fact that she only done 2 matches with Stardom, and the fact that she is the Marigold champion, and the fact that Marigold is only 6 months old, and the fact that most of this evaluation period happened before Marigold even started, the fact that she finished as high as she did, that just shows you what a great wrestler that she is, and how everybody has such a high opinion of her. So I thought that was great. Like, I honestly didn't think she would make the top 10. Again, not that I don't think she deserved it. She absolutely did. Excuse me, not deserve, earned. You earn things, not deserve them. But just because of I know how PWI ranks everything. So again, buddy, off the top of my head, I don't have anything written down. I'm going to say that Tony's number 1, Bayley's number 2, Mayu's number 3. There's no reason Mayu should not be anything ranked less than number 3. There's nobody that can convince me otherwise. I'm going to say 4 is going to be Micah. 5 is going to be EO. 6 is going to be Roxanne Perez. How do they leave her out of there? I mean, the way she carried that NXT brand over the past year is mental. I'm going to say 7 is Sari. 8, I'm going to say Jordan Grace. 9 is going to be Mariah May. And 10 is going to be Athena. So who did I leave out of there? Willow Nightingale. I love Willow. I would put her 11 or 12. Rhea Ripley. I know Rhea is the biggest women's wrestling star in the planet. And male or female, she's one of the biggest wrestling stars, period. I know that she's the biggest women's wrestling star on the planet by quite a distance. I mean, look at the metrics. They don't lie. But as far as what the criteria is going, she was injured for a good portion of it. And outside of that match she had with Becky Lynch at WrestleMania Night 1, she really didn't do much. And a lot of it has to do with the injury. So I would have kept her out of the top 10. And I love Steph Acker, but I'm right with you, partner. I don't put her in the top 10 and that's on me, because I have not watched enough of her stuff in CMLL. And again, that's on me. So that would be my top 10. If you're asking me what 3 wrestlers do I take out, again, Steph Acker, Willow Nightingale, Rhea Ripley, and who am I putting in? Mayu, EO, and Roxanne Perez. Again, that's just my subjective list. I have no problem with the list. My only little problem is, how is Mayu not in the top 10? Not only that, but the top 3 or 4. You talk about influence, drawing power. A lot of these shows, she's drawing a lot of money. She's probably the best champion in New Japan that they have, and considering the fact that she's only wrestled on one actual New Japan proper show. But regardless, she's a champion, successful title defenses, great matches, influence, drawing money. She hits all those criteria to be a top 5 wrestler, and the fact that she didn't make the top 10, that's the one I kind of head scratch the most. And EO's right there as well.
I've just thought, I said about Azumi not being on that show on the 20th. She's in the UK. Of course she's not going to be on that show. Her and Mina are in the UK. Yeah, I do agree with you. I do think Roxanne Perez is extremely unlucky not to crack the top 10. Again, Mayu, Sari, and Io Sky all deserve to be in that top 10. The fact that Micah has got the recognition that she's got is tremendous. Again, you take this with a pinch of salt. It is a subjective list. It's just ultimately a couple of people's opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I don't necessarily think Jordan Grace has done enough to be second in the list, but again, that is my own personal opinion. That's not to say that Jordan Grace isn't a phenomenal wrestler. She is. But, I just want to shout out Mia Watanabe, by the way, who came in at, I think, 18th? I think it was 18th, which is phenomenal because she is a fantastic talent from what I've seen of her. Incredible stuff. And perhaps the biggest win of this, after criminally being left off the entire sodding list last year, Hazuki has made the bloody list. How she was left off entirely last year was an absolute travesty of justice, but she does squeak in at 192nd. Below Kogami. Not sure how that's happened, but there we are. Just a quick rundown of the rest of the Stardom wrestlers. And Tora at 43, Hanan at 50, Rena 58th, which I think is really good for Rena, Maysaya at 60th, Azumi at 63, Momo Watanabe 67, Shiori 72, Tekla 77, Suzu 83, Saya Kamatani at 89, Konami 104th, Starlight Kid 106, Miya Wamasaki 147, Koguma at 176, Saki Kashima 180, Kaori Oniyama 204. She should be 1, 2, and 3. Saya Ida at 211, Xena at 213, and Ami Sori at 222. So strong Stardom representation there. Marigold also had representation, not quite as strong, but then again, Marigold has only been a company since May. Sari, as we've said, coming in at 6th, Julia 21st, Mikuano at 56th, and Natsumi Shozuki at 57. Well deserved, both of them. Mirai 62nd, Utami 64th, Bozilla 75th, Zeta Steel at 123, Nanae Takahashi at 165, Myla Grace 197. Special shout out to Victoria Yuzuki, 208th on the women's 250, which isn't bad when you consider she hasn't been wrestling a year yet. And then Mai Sakurai at 216. Again, no massive, really, qualms with the Marigold ones. I think Mai Sakurai could have been higher. When you consider what she's done, especially over the last 2, 3, 4 months, I think she probably deserves to be a little bit higher. No disrespect to Victoria Yuzuki, above Victoria Yuzuki. I think the fact that Yuzuki is in the PWI 250 and she's only just debuted goes to show just how bloody good she is. Bozilla 75th shows how much of a big splash she's made. Utami could potentially have been higher, but again, I understand why she isn't, because Marigold is a promotion that has only just come into fruition. So I do understand why she is lower, even if she did win the Dreamstar Grand Prix, because that Dreamstar Grand Prix as well came in right at the end of the evaluation period. So I'm wondering if that has counted against her. But yes, that's the PWI top 250. Would love to hear what your opinions are in the comments, especially if you're on Patreon or on Twitter. Let us know who you think it is criminal has been left out of the top 10. I think Tam Nakano's done tremendously well to be 28th, considering she was out for a substantial part of that evaluation period through injury. I think she's done tremendously well and lost all 6 of her 5-star matches, let's not point out as well. Anyway, let's
not point it out, buddy. Let's not point it out.
Let's not point it out. You sure? You don't want me to point that out? You don't want me to point out the fact that
we got matches to review. Let's go.
Don't want to point out that Tam Nakano was injured for 6 months and still has placed above Natsupoi and Hazuki and Meisera and Starlight Kid. We won't talk about it. It's fine. I mean, ultimately, she's just won the red belt for the second time, so it's obvious as to why she is that high. Let's talk then about these 2 house shows. We started in Osaka, Stardom in Osaka, October 2024. Friday the 11th from Edion Arena, number 2 in Osaka, an attendance of 344. Couple of attendance notes. This is the 48th time Stardom have run the Edion Arena Osaka number 2 in their history, making it the 3rd most run venue that they have, behind Shinkiba First Ring and Korakuen. It's the 8th time they've run it this year. They average an attendance at about 423, and this show was down by around 32% from the last time they ran the venue, which was the 7th night of the 5-star Grand Prix on the 20th of August. Again, you'll notice this, and when we talk about it in Ishikawa, we're comparing 5-star shows to what are effectively touring house shows. There is obviously going to be a dip in attendance, so you do take these comparisons with a pinch of salt. And the 344 does mark the 4th highest attendance of the year for Stardom in the Edion Arena Osaka number 2 in 2024. Let's talk about the results then. So we open with a tag team match. The EXV team rice or bread. Hanako and Waka Tsukiyama defeating Peach Rock, Mayu Iwatani, and Momokogo. Hanako submitting Momokogo with the Shirasagi in 11 minutes and 11 seconds. Three-way match, Hanan defeated Ruaka and Rian, Hanan pinning Rian with the blockbuster hold in 7 minutes and 44 seconds. Six-woman tag, the hate team of Natsu Katora, Momo Watanabe, and Saya Kamatani defeated the God's Eye team of Syuri, Lady C, and Rani Yagami, with Natsu Katora pinning Rani Yagami with the Death Valley Bomb in 12 minutes and 57 seconds. In six-woman tag action, the EXV team of Maika, Mina Shirakawa, and Xena defeated the Stars team, Hazuki Koguma and Sayurida. Mina Shirakawa pinning Sayurida with the Glamorous Collection, Mina, in 15 minutes and 59 seconds. And then in your main event, a thoroughly entertaining 10-woman tag, the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, Sayori Ano, Sayaka Kurora, and Yuna Mizumori defeating the Neo Genesis team of Starlight Kid, Azumi, Suzu Suzuki, Meisera, and Miyu Amasaki, with Yuna Mizumori pinning Meisera with the TP Sunshine in 18 minutes and 38 seconds. Matt, let's start with this opening tag. It's another match where Momo looks good, especially in those exchanges with Hanako, but it's yet another one where her endeavor ends with her being overpowered and ultimately eating the pinfall.
Yeah, again, another great match to start these shows. And again, we say it every week, and we're going to continue to say it. Stardom, when it comes to the matchmaking, putting these shows together, these matches together, you obviously want to end with your top talent to leave everybody happy or leave them with a big match. Stardom's doing a great job with these openers to get the crowd warmed up. And this was a great match considering you have Hanako and Waka, you're pushing them towards the New Blood Championship, Tag Team Championships. Again, more than likely, if Xena didn't get injured, this is a team that we probably would have seen in the Goddess of Stardom tournament, because I think it would have been Maika and Xena and then Hanako and Waka. But again, with Xena's injury, I kind of shifted things up a bit. So I understood why they got the win here. But Mayu and Momokogo look really great as a team. There's that one spot that they've done it a few times before, and they've done it in the they've done it a few times before. And they've done it here where Mayu's in the turnbuckle and somebody whips Momokogo into the turnbuckle, basically almost trying to sandwich Mayu, and then Mayu basically Banderas back body drops Momokogo over the top rope, and then Momo lands on the apron, and then Mayu hits the super kick, and then Mayu comes over with like a 180 body press. I think that's just such a great spot, and just goes to show you the great tag team chemistry that is Mayu Iwatani and Momokogo as Peach Rock. I like it when they do the double 619, the double Tiger Fang kick. I think that's great. Really good stuff here. I like the fact that we're building Waka up a little bit. Again, she's in the main event of this New Blood show. I like that we're doing something with her, but ultimately where it comes down to it in the end is we're just continued to building up Hanako here, which was done brilliantly with the standing triangle choke, the Shirasagi. Terrific match. It had enough time to tell the story. Great chemistry between these four wrestlers, these two teams, but ultimately it's all about just keeping building Hanako up, to that upper mid-card level. 3 3/4 stars for me, my friend. I thought this was a terrific match to start this show.
Yeah, it was really good. I gave it 3 1/4. Again, that exchange between Momokogo and Hanako, something we'll be looking at in the next show as well. I thought it was really, really good. And I love this story that we've got going on, sort of this underlying thing that Momokogo is aware that she is the reason that stars are losing so many multi-woman matches. And the fact that it's been brought up, and the fact that there's a pressure going along with that, and the fact that she is having to learn, she's having to develop, and she's having to push through this pressure at the behest of the likes of Mayu Iwatani, I think is a really cool little story that we've got going on this lower card. This three-way, Hanan, Ruaka, and Rian, was infinitely more fun than it had any right to be, especially Rian and Hanan, who I thought, especially towards the end of the match, had a tremendous exchange.
Yeah, I mean, the match starts and Ruaka's like, I want nothing to do with this. So then it basically starts as a singles match with Hanan and Rian, which is a good way to do your three-way dances. Again, when you have these multi-person matches and there's an odd number of people there, it basically leaves somebody out to like not do anything. And it's going to be really tricky to bring them in. I thought this was great for Ruaka to be like, nah, I'm good. You guys start the match. And they start out with a really good exchange. And then Ruaka, being the heel that she is and the only heel in this match, simple storytelling, goes in and is able to take advantage of the fact that Han and Rianne have been wrestling for a few minutes, and she basically blinds both of them to take the advantage. I thought that was really good. And eventually, Ruaka, she gets in when she needs to, and then they basically, Han and Rianne kind of almost like double team her enough to get her out of the match. And then we go back to like that little mini singles match that we had in the beginning. But yeah, I really, really liked how this one built towards the end. And you're absolutely right. They had a really nice little singles match to end it. Again, you basically bookended your match. We had a singles match with Han and Rianne to start, and then a singles match with them to end. Really solid stuff. A little over 7 minutes. Wasn't anything that was going to steal the show. 3.25 stars. And it's really nice to see the progression on Rianne, because where Rianne is at now is where Hanan was 4 or 5 years ago. Basically, trying to get more reps in wrestling with a top tier talent, only to get better. And I see a lot of big things on the horizon in the next 2 or 3 years for Rianne. But always nice seeing Hanan getting a win here.
Moving on then to the 6-woman tag, Hate versus God's Eye. Despite the predictability of the opening and seeing Hate jump the bell and then go chair bowling, it does grow into a rather entertaining multi-woman match, not due in small part to a fantastic performance again from Rani Yagami, because her underdog fighting spirit underpinned a whole host of this match. And actually, credit to Hate, which I don't say very often, but the interference spot at the end was executed perfectly, because it was done so quickly and it was done so smoothly that there was no chance of the referee picking it up. And how often on this podcast have we said, oh my God, how is the referee not seeing this? Oh my God, this is going on for so long. How is the There's no way. She was in, out, sorted. Rani Yagami eats the Death Valley bomb. I thought it was great, and I think Rani Yagami is someone who is rapidly shedding that rookie moniker, and that's something that actually plays into a singles match with Saori Anou on the next night as well, because it's something that Saori Anou questions. I think she was phenomenal in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that, again, we have the usual Oedo Tai Hate formula, right? The jump, we get some chair bowling, we build up some heat, they throw Rana in, and they start building heat on Rana, and Rana does a great job selling. We don't, again, because she's more or less a rookie, but you're absolutely right, boy. She's shedding that rookie skin awfully fast, considering the fact that what she did in the Catch the Wave tournament, the 5-star Grand Prix, and I'm really looking forward to see what her and Tomoka Inaba do in the Goddess Tag League. But yeah, they put the heat on her. She gets some babyface sympathy. She's doing a great job selling. She's able to fire back a little bit. Eventually, the hot tag goes to Sherry, and rightfully so. She's the main eventer. She's the big ass kicker of this group and this company. We get some violent exchanges between Momo Watanabe and Sherry. I'll never say no to that, because they're, in my opinion, the two hardest hitters in all of Joshi. These two are just going back and forth. But going back to what you said with the interference, maybe they're finally taking our advice and finally going back to watching some Kagetsu-led Oedo Tai, where there was a lot of interference, but interference done right, not overly done while the referee's not looking. You're in, you're out, you make your statement. The crowd sees it enough to get the heat. The ref sees it enough where the heat's not transferring to the ref. It stays on the heel. You're absolutely right. That's what they did here. Lady C, I got to give shouts out to her because I thought she looked terrific. But ultimately, yeah, you're absolutely right, partner. Rani Yagami looked great here underneath fire, underneath babyface, the fighting spirit that she had. Ultimately, they have to they use the numbers advantage to get Tor to get the advantage to hit the Death Valley bomb onto Rani Yagami. Yeah, great match, and I absolutely agree with you. The fact that the interference wasn't overly done, but it was needed in order to get the heat that they wanted for the finish. 3.5 stars for me, partner.
Yeah, 3.25 from me. Thought it was a very, very, very good match, in the fact that Rani Yagami was so good at eliciting that underdog response from the crowd that Hate's interference made them, pardon the pun, legitimately hated, and that is the dynamic that you want. The 6-woman tag, EXV versus Suzuki Koguma and Sayurida, serves to highlight exactly why stars in any iteration are the most entertaining faction in Stardom. And that's, from the comedy of Koguma, accenting this match by her falling off the top rope and getting caught in some sort of bizarre half tree of woe, and then the camera panning round to see Stars not coming to save her. No, just absolutely wetting themselves with laughter on the outside. Hazuki literally unable to stand up, laughing at her. To the aggression and fire that Saya and Hazuki then bring later on in the match, with Saya apparently trying to break some sort of world record for most chops landed on poor Mina Shirakawa. I thought this was another really good multi-woman match, and again, Stars are one of those factions that are never not entertaining, Matt.
Yeah, in a whole bunch of different ways. Their teamwork is, again, whether it's a straight up tag, whether it's 3, 4, or 5, they do a great job with the tag team work, with the double team, the triple team. And you're absolutely right. This match had so many different levels. You had your comedy with the Kuma dance to start. You had really great wrestling. Micah comes in and does what she does best, dominates. And it really takes Suzuki to kind of almost foil Micah. You get great, some flashbacks we saw to their fantastic 5-star Grand Prix match just from a few months ago, with the two of them going back and forth. Eventually, Micah gets the advantage. And this is basically a lot of the key of the match up until the finish, where we would see Micah get an advantage. FWC would take her out, right? Again, we're building towards the Goddess tournament. Mina would get a big advantage. FWC would come in some sort of way to take out Mina. So again, you have your two big stars in this match in Mike and Mina Shirakawa. That anytime they got a real singles advantage, you would see the established tag team of Hazuki and Kagama come in and able to get the advantage back for the Stars team, which I thought was a really great dynamic and really great psychology. Xena and Saida, they have terrific chemistry together with the chops, the hard hitting, the explosiveness, the timing they do, what they need to do. That was some really great stuff between the two of them. And then ultimately, as you know, if you've seen the Stardom multi-person matches on these Stardom World shows, ultimately it builds to a mini singles match when you get to your finish, that's exactly what it does with Saeed and Mina Shirakawa, which we eventually do see Mina Shirakawa getting the win with the Glamorous Collection. Mina, great match. Again, you had your comedy, you had your great singles work, you had some really great tag stuff with FWC, you had some hard-hitting stuff with Mike and Hazuki, and then ultimately just a really strong finish with Saida and Mina Shirakawa. 3 3/4 stars for me, brother.
Yeah, I gave it 3.5. Again, thoroughly entertaining. Yeah, if there's anyone who doubts how Yuna will fare in the high-speed division, this opening exchange with Mei Seira should allay any of those fears, and then add to that the fact that the pair then prove it not to be a fluke by repeating it during the closing sequence. I think that match at Korakuen Hall between the pair is going to be tremendous, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. They started this. I know some people were like, Yuna won? We've never really seen her do any high-speed wrestling. But again, when we reviewed the pay-per-view, we're like, well, Yuna's never had the opportunity, and we need challengers for that high-speed division because not everybody can do it, especially on a level that we've seen in years past with Natsupoi, Starlight Kid, Azumi, and now Mei Seira. And as soon as the bell rings and it's like, okay, we're getting Yuna and Mei to square off. So you're going to quickly see if Yuna can hang. And it's like 25 seconds in, I'm like, I'm so sold on this match. I can't wait for it. And they did a great job on these two shows that we're going to review to basically preview Yuna versus Miyu Amasaki for that Korakuen Hall show for the high-speed championship. But yeah, really great start with the two of them back and forth. Again, not only is Yuna able to keep up with Mei Seira here, but she does a great job, again, her timing, her ring positioning, because when you work a style that fast, your timing can be off a little. You're trying to catch your breath. You need to make sure you're at the right place at the right time without making it look phony. And Yuna Mizumori does a perfect job. It was flawless, absolutely flawless. And I'm really excited for this match in Korakuen Hall for the high-speed championship. After that, we get some insane Neo Genesis teamwork. They do a great job. They're very much like, as far as their teamwork goes, considering the fact they've only been a faction for a few months, they're like Queen's Quest melded with Stars. Like the fact that they can get this teamwork down so well, done to such precision. Again, the timing, the ring positioning, and the fact that they set up certain wrestlers for certain moves, like the way that they'll set up Miyu Amasaki for something, or the way that they set up Starlight Kid or Mei Seira, is just a credit to how great this team is. There's a really quick but great segment between Siriano and Azumi, and I even have my notes. Boy, howdy. I would love to see that as a singles match somewhere down the road. These two have great chemistry together, very underrated chemistry that we really don't see. Obviously, some excellent stuff with Azumi and Mei Seira. with Tam and Natsupoi as well. I thought there was some excellent stuff there. Starlight Kid, I like how Natsupoi goes for the basement style drop kick, but Starlight Kid is able to block it and then puts her in the leg crusher submission. And I know a majority of this match was to build towards Mei Seira and Yuna Mizumori. That's what they did. That was the A story. But the B story, partner, I don't know for you, but for me, this is what I took off it was a little bit, we're teasing a little bit of Natsupoi and Starlight Kid. That's what I got here. I think that's going to be Natsupoi's next really big Wonder of Stardom championship match. And why not? You know, you have the past story with the two of them from the last 2 or 3 years, and the fact that these two wrestlers are better now than they ever were. I think that we got a little bit of a sample here. Again, great, yet double teamwork, triple teamwork between these two factions. Really excellent stuff. But ultimately, once again, we go back to the singles match between Yuna Mizumori and Mei Seira. Again, very much like some of these other previous tag matches that we saw. We're starting with two wrestlers. We're getting great stuff in between, and then we're ending two wrestlers. We're coming full circle, and ultimately, it's Yuna Mizumori getting a big win over the high-speed champion with the electric chair drop, the TP Sunrise. This was my favorite match between these two shows. 4.25 stars for me, my friend.
Yeah, 4 from me. And my biggest compliment to this is there was 10 wrestlers here, and at no point did the match feel cluttered at all. Sayaka Kurora, again, is another one, just like Rian earlier and Rani Yagami, who seems to be just developing at such a ridiculous rate of knots. We do a tremendous job of highlighting different fledgling feuds, one of which being Natsupoi and Starlight Kid, which Natsupoi references backstage, you know, almost telling us without telling us that Starlight Kid is going to be the next challenger for that Y belt. And yes, I'm absolutely here for that. Saori Anou, though, oh my God, she is frighteningly quick, frighteningly agile, and just everything she seems to do is like water. She's so languid, yet everything she does is so precise. And her little exchanges, and then that going into that match with Rani Yagami that opens the second now, which we're going to be talking about, just technically fantastic. Her exchanges with Azumi are tremendous. Amasaki, that air of confidence of finally winning the Future of Stardom belt is so obvious in the way she's carrying herself. It's really quite fantastic to watch. 4 stars for me. Best match of the two shows. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Moving on then to Stardom in Komatsu, which took place at Komatsu Suihiro Gymnasium in Ishikawa, Saturday the 12th of October 2024. Attendance of 250 people. A couple of notes on that. Only the second time in Stardom's history they've run the venue, and the first time in 2024. The last time Stardom ran the venue was on the 5th of August 2023, which was the 4th night of the 2023 5-Star Grand Prix, where they drew a house of 502. And on that card, Suzu Suzuki versus Starlight Kid, who will be teaming together in the main event. There is a significant drop, obviously, between the two attendances of just over 50%. However, again, it's worth noting that this is a comparison of a 5-Star Grand Prix show and what is effectively a house show. But it's just interesting to look at how Stardom have drawn in this area in the past. So let's have a look at the results. Singles match. Saori Anou defeated Rani Yagami with a German suplex in 9 minutes and 20 seconds. 6-woman tag, Neo Genesis, Azumi, Mei Seira, and Miyu Amasaki defeated the Cosmic Angels, Yuna Mizumori, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurora, with Mei Seira getting revenge, pinning Yuna Mizumori with the Shooting Star in 11 minutes and 49 seconds. 3-way tag, the hate team of Momo Watanabe and Sayaka Matani defeated EXV, Wax Tsukiyama, and Xena, and the Stars team of Hazuki and Saida, Momo Watanabe pinning Waka with the B-Driver in 11 minutes and 5 seconds. 8-woman tag action next. The Stars team of Mayu, Momokogo, Koguma, and Hanan defeated the EXV team of Maika, Mina Shirakawa, Hanako, and Rian, with Koguma pinning Rian after the diving body press in 11 minutes and 40 seconds. Tag team match, Meltear, Tam Nakano and Natsupoi defeated the God's Eye team of Shiori and Lady C. Natsupoi pinning Lady C with the Ferial Gift in 15 minutes and 23 seconds. And then in your main event, the tag team match, Neo Genesis, Starlight Kid and Suzu Suzuki defeated BMI 2000, Natsuko Tora and Ruaka. Suzu Suzuki pinning Ruaka with the Grand Maestro to Tequila in 13 minutes and 53 seconds. Matt, let's talk about Saori Anou and Rana Yagami. It's another immensely improved performance from Rana Yagami, who, as I mentioned before, I think between the Catch the Wave tournament, her debut and performance in the 5-Star Grand Prix feels less and less like a rookie with every passing show. What do you think is next for the Beat Striker, apart from dropping incredible thrash metal drum beats on Twitter?
Real quick, buddy, you ran through the stats, but match number 5, you missed the stat. You gave the winner, you gave the time, but I'm going to fill in the void. Meltear, they came out to Tear Tales.
Do you know what?
Just
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you when we got there what song it was as well. Oh, I hate you so much for that.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I literally had. Because they've been going through it, and I tell you what, one of the reasons why I know what theme they're going to come out to. They only have 3 songs, right? So it's like if they have more, it would be a little bit more of a challenge. But literally, like, I know Meltear's on this match, so I literally have on my notes Tampoi Meltear versus Sherry Lady C. And in parentheses, I'm ready to write whatever song they come out to because I'm like, I cannot wait till I'm going to pop Rob in the worst way possible. And I'm like, hey, by the way, they came out to this theme or they came out to that. But anywho, to answer your question, Surianu and Rana Yagami, again, another great way to start this show. A singles match with a great wrestler in Surianu. You put it perfectly, partner. We talked about that, the match we just talked about a few minutes ago, just how smooth and almost effortlessly she is in the ring. She does everything great, the striking, the selling, able to direct traffic in these multi-person matches. Just her entrance, the fact that like she comes out, she looked like she's a stone cold killer, but looks like she's like the coolest person in the room. And you're going up against somebody that is a rookie that we're probably going to stop calling her a rookie because one, she's just about past her rookie year, and 2, she wrestles like somebody that's a 5 or 6 year vet. But yeah, these two, great chemistry together. Excellent way to start this show with a really good match again with Soriano and Rana Yagami. Great technical wrestling to start. We saw a lot of great fire with Rana Yagami on these 2 shows, and Soriano really does a great job building up Rana Yagami again to almost bring her to Soriano's level. Excellent stuff. Some great striking, great feeding, great bumping and feeding from the veteran that is Soriano to make Rana Yagami look really good in this almost 10-minute match. Really, really solid stuff. And Soriano getting the win with a German suplex. We really don't see her getting many wins with a German suplex because she either wins with a special Potter ring or the Tom's Tundra. So
sorry, Matt. Can you just repeat that? Because what I heard then was Tom's Tundra.
Oh no, I thought it was the Tom's Tundra. What was it? What's her finisher?
It was Tom's Tundra.
Anyway, Soriano has one of the Soriano has one of the best bridges I've ever seen in wrestling. I always say it's like Kurt Hennig, Soriano, Tam, and Mayu. Those are like 4 of the best bridges I've ever seen. And she throws a great German suplex. And I was like, oh, it's nice to see her get a win here with a German suplex. Again, solid outing. I like the fact that we're giving these younger wrestlers, the Ranas, the Ayas, the Sayakas, the Hanakos, these singles matches on these quote unquote Stardom World shows with these main event level talent, because that's the best way for them to learn is in front of a live audience without a net. And what I mean without a net is another person in the match, whether it's a tag match or a 3-way or a 4-way. You can rely on somebody else to kind of like pick up the slack, where it's just one-on-one. Just can Rana hang with Soriano? And she absolutely did. And Soriano made sure that she did. 3.5 stars for me, partner.
Moving on then to Neo Genesis and Cosmic Angels. Seeing Azumi as the only member of the Neo Genesis trio without a belt is so bizarre. But don't get me wrong, that doesn't seem to matter to the Komatsu crowd, with one man in particular howling her name really quite terrifyingly. But it does lead to Neo Genesis then hilariously playing with the echo in the building before the match, which I thought was quite funny. But what did you think about this, Matt?
Yeah, they're so entertaining as a team. And again, we start this match out with May and Yuna, very much like we saw the day before show, again, that we just reviewed. We get a little glimpse of what their high speed match is going to look like. And considering the fact that's going to be in Korakuen Hall, probably, in front of roughly around 1,000 people. And we know that Korakuen Hall crowd, they're always very vocal towards everything. So, again, a great job previewing what we're getting at the end of the month in that high speed championship match. Eventually, though, once we get that little preview done, we get some O2 line teamwork here. Again, Azumi and Miyu Hamasaki are so great as a tag team, and they're getting better each and every outing. And again, I'm really excited to see what they're going to do in the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Tournament. Eventually, though, I like how O2 Line, again, they're kind of a main event tag team we have in Stardom. Their teamwork stops with Aya Sakura coming in and just kicking the crap out of both of them, which I thought was really, really cool because, again, they're kind of running through everybody here. And again, Aya, the young Aya Sakura, is kind of like, no, no, you're done. Your cool, flashy stuff here, Neo Genesis, O2 Line is done. So I like that, how she's the one to kind of break up the party. I thought that was great. Eventually, Azumi is able to, and then we get some really cool stuff with Yuna Mizumori and Azumi. I thought that was some really interesting stuff. We almost get little high speed stuff with Azumi versus Yuna Mizumori. And again, if you're prepping for your high speed championship match, what a better wrestler to be in the ring with live than Azumi, right? Again, in my opinion,
Absolutely.
the greatest wrestler in the history of the high speed division. They do a great job making Yuna look unstoppable. Like whoever put this match together, as this match is building towards the end, she runs through everybody. She runs through O2 Line. She runs through Azumi as a single, May as a single, Miyu as a single. They make her look like she's going to be credible to take that high speed championship from May Sarah in Korakuen Hall. Again, a great job building her up in this match. Ultimately, though, it's the shooting star that does in Yuna Mizumori, giving May Sarah her win back as they are now 1-1, heading towards that match in Korakuen Hall. This is one of my favorite match of the show. 3 3/4 stars for me, partner.
Yeah, 3.5 from me. Thought it was fantastic. Yuna, for me, MVP. Her exchanges with May, but in particular, that middle portion with Azumi again. And the fact that, once again, tried that TP Sunshine that got the win in Osaka and May being able to reverse it into that shooting star sets them both at 1 win apiece, really setting that championship matchup to be an absolute belter. I think we both anticipate May winning, Matt, but we are doing a tremendous job, I think, building Yuna as a credible threat and someone a little bit different as well, because some of those lariats that she was throwing, as well as the speed at which she was doing this, really, really did set her in the best possible stead. Look, the match next, I'm not going to rate because of the injury to Xena, which is a shame because it opened brightly enough. Xena and Saya trying to chop the chest out of the other one. Do you see Xena attempting to avoid Saya Kamatani lariating her legs out from underneath her by just hopping over repeatedly on the apron? I thought that was really funny. Yeah. But the match, understandably, sort of falls off a cliff once Xena gets injured. Credit to Momo Watanabe for being extremely professional and delivering some of the most well-protected chair shots I've ever seen in my life, at least trying to make the injury look, sort of more work than it clearly was. Wak Tsukiyama, who clearly was clearly worried about her tag team partner, racing around the ring to find ice packs. It's such a crying shame that this has happened to Xena. And again, unfortunately, stuff like this happens in wrestling. It was a move that she's performed many times before and has been fine. Unfortunately, this time she wasn't. We just wish her a speedy recovery, Matt, but I'm not rating this one.
No, I completely understand, but it looked like to me when Xena did the slingshot plancha to the floor, I think she landed like knees first onto the floor. And I think that's what happened. I could be wrong, but you're absolutely right. I agree with you, and I want to point out just Momo Watanabe being an absolute professional, because you see Xena rolling into the ring, and you can see she's pointing at her knee and telling the referee, and they're doing communication to Momo that she's hurt, but she's in the middle of the ring, and Momo has a chair. So Momo has one or two options: either let Xena go, and that kind of kills Momo Watanabe's character, or she could be like, well, if her knee's hurt, we can do an angle out of this that I hurt her knee with the chair. And clearly she protects her with that chair. I mean, it looks like she's killing her with it, but she's not. because yeah, absolutely right. She's protecting her. So now this is something that obviously we want Xena to come back and come back healthy. But this is an angle that when Xena does come back, we can do Xena versus Momo Watanabe, and Momo can say you were out for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months because of the chair shot to the knee, and we can do that. You already have a ready-made angle whenever Xena's ready to come back. And again, we want her to come back, as healthy as possible, because you're absolutely right. She's on an absolute tear, in my opinion, alongside with Mai Sakurai, the most improved wrestler in this entire year of 2024. And again, credit to Momo Watanabe, because she makes sure she calls in the wrestler members of hate to distract the referee, because you have a panic mode here. You have somebody that's hurt. How do we cover? Momo knows what she wants to do, but at the same time, she can't be doing the chair in front of the referee. So credit to her in a crisis scenario here, not only to protect Xena, but to make sure she calls the other members of hate into the ring to distract the referee. So this way the chair shot's not done in front of the referee. And then you can clearly see her audibling to Hazuki for Hazuki to come in the ring. Once Xena rolls out, what happens? Hazuki kicks the chair right in Momo's face. And then we get some Momo Hazuki violence, and the match picks up from there. Again, you're whatever you have plan now goes to the wayside, because your main thing is making sure that Xena is okay, even though she's injured. So absolutely right. We wish her a speedy recovery. Great job on Momo Watanabe covering for that. And not only that, but again, getting her character over, making it look like she was the one that hurt Xena, where she clearly was being so protective with those chair shots. Called an audible. And what a better wrestler to call an audible with than Hazuki? They have a brutal, violent past that goes all the way back to 2018. So they did a good job covering everything up. I rate it at 3.5 stars. I completely understand why you or anybody else wouldn't rate this match because of the injury that happens to Xena. Again, it wasn't accidents. It was an accident. Accidents happen all the time in pro wrestling. But again, a great job on Momo and Hazuki covering that up and then giving it really the best finish that they possibly could.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think everyone involved, it was, as good as could be done. It's just a shame that obviously this has happened where it has actually happened, and who it's actually happened to. You obviously don't want to see anyone injured. We move on to the tag team match. Meltear coming out to, what song was it, Matt? Sorry.
No, we have match number 4 to talk about.
I'm sorry, I missed over that. No, completely missed that on my notes. Sorry.
You just want to know that they came out to Cheer Tails. That's what it was.
No, it was obviously Stars and EXV. Momo Kogo again, probably the MVP of this match, buoyed perhaps by her own determination to prove herself after getting really on her own case yesterday about being the reason the faction kept losing. And she comes out and she basically calls out the biggest bully in the yard in Hanako, which I thought was really good and a really interesting way of carrying on her story. But ultimately, this felt quite a run-of-the-mill victory for Stars, and I think a lot of that is because they were able to isolate Rian away from her competitors. Her teammates.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're a great strategy here. Mayu's obviously leading this team here, and it's basically divide and conquer. You have Hanako again, who's white hot right now. You have Mina Shirakawa, worldwide Mina, and Micah just coming off winning the 5-star and a really great run as the World of Stardom champion. The one thing I noted going into this show, I was thinking that your tag league teams are going to be Hanako and Waka, and then some sort of Micah, Mina, and Xena. Obviously, we didn't know what they're doing with Mina. Clearly, it looks like she's missing the Goddess tournament, very much like she did with the 5-star. So I'm watching this match and I'm going, this teamwork with Micah and Hanako is really, really good. If they decide to mix things up, I wouldn't be hurt if they're a tag team in the Goddess League. And obviously, with Xena's injury, it looked like they had to shake some things up. So Micah and Hanako had some really good teamwork. And again, we've seen it a few times before, but when they do that suplex into the backbreaker spot, that looks absolutely brutal. So again, great job without them even knowing that they made Mike and Hanako an even a more interesting team going into this tag league. But ultimately, you're absolutely right. It's just the cohesive unit that is Stars. This team has been a unit for far, far longer than a majority of these wrestlers on this EXV team have even been in Stardom before. And again, it's a Mayu-led team with a lot of Momo Kogo. Again, we saw a lot of great stuff with Mayu and Momo Kogo in this match as a team, which is going to make Peach Rock look even more interesting in that Goddess of Stardom Tag League. But yeah, you're right. Ultimately, it's just divide and conquer. Let's get out the big threats in the match. So this way, Kogama can hit that top rope, big splash onto the rookie for the 3 count. 3 3/4 stars for me, partner.
Yeah, really good match. 3 in the quarter for me. I enjoyed it, but again, felt routine for Stars. Good to get Momo Kogo that victory as we barrel towards the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. Meltear versus God's Eye, then, as you've already told me, Tears Fall was the song they came out to.
Tear Tails, buddy.
Tear Tools.
Tails,
Oh,
like the Sonic the Hedgehog character, Tails.
so they came out to Tails Tears, and it was fine. But Lady C for me was the big focus of this match, given a large run win this match with Natsupoi. And I thought, again, someone who is improving all the time. Yes, Queen's Quest dissolving was a shock and something that none of us wanted to see happen. However, it has helped Lady C this brand new lick of paint. And even though the chances are, had Amisori not got injured, we'd have seen the return of the Reiwa Tokyo Towers, her team with both Syuri, who she's been teaming with a lot recently, and her team with Hina have been very, very good to watch, Matt.
Yeah, this was an excellent match. Again, you have Meltear, a top tag team here. Lady C is ever improving. I mean, she takes advantage of every single second that she gets in the ring. And again, she's teaming with Syuri. So you're absolutely right. Lady C was the MVP in this match, considering the fact that you have she's teaming with the former winner of the 5-star, and former Red Belt champion to take on the current Wonder and the current world champion. Yeah, excellence. And again, when they're putting this match together, they wanted to make sure that they were highlighting Lady C, and it was brilliantly done. And to me, partner, considering the fact that what I saw in this match and for these backstage promos that are happening, are they building towards a Tam and Syuri World of Stardom Championship match? Because boy, howdy, that's what it sure felt like to me.
Yeah, it seemed to look that way, didn't it? And again, when was the last time Syuri was in a Red Belt match? 2022, when she lost the belt to Julia? I certainly wouldn't hate Syuri being in that position. I think she needs some wins and some big wins. Obviously had a relatively good 5-star Grand Prix, qualified top of the block, but then was knocked out by Hannon in the quarterfinals. Other than that, I don't feel like she's been sort of threatening the upper echelon of Stardom or even going for titles, because she's been embroiled in that hate storyline with Konami. I'd love to see Syuri go for the red belt again. I'd love to see her character rehabilitated to that killer that we're so used to at the top of the card. And again, if that's what we are building to, Matt, I am all for that.
Yeah, and it really, like the way that I would do it, obviously, Tam, we got historic crossover coming over, and then my guess is, and again, this is another story for another day, but my guess off the top of my head, I think it's going to be her and Kamatani at Sumo Hall. I think that might be the way to go, considering the fact that how white and red hot both those wrestlers are. What I would do is, again, we're kind of teasing it here, right? We're teasing Tam and Syuri for the red belt, and absolutely, I mean, Tam is the match with Micah, terrific. The match with Suzuki, amazing. Again, this is the new version. This is Tam Road Part 2, and I'm all for, and she's hitting home run after home run. What I would do to build this match up properly, even though Stardom just seems to be hitting the fast forward button on all these feuds and giving us these amazing pay-per-views out of nowhere, which I'm not complaining about, I would have, after the Goddess Tournament, have Syuri go back to this feud that she's having with Hate that we kind of almost forgot about. I would have the blow-off with her and Konami happen at Sumo Hall, and then probably one of the first shows of the new year, I would have your Supreme Fight anniversary show be Syuri versus Tam for the red belt. I think that'd be a great way to go. Regardless, it looks like we're probably going to be getting it sooner because of just, it seems like that they're kind of fast tracking it. That again, that's just me. Regardless, Tam versus Syuri for the red belt. Yes, please. They had a great match back in Midsummer's Champion in 2022. When Syuri was the champion and Tam was the challenger. So I got no problem with the two of them revisiting that red belt match, just with the belt flipped, with Tam being the champion and Syuri being the challenger. But as far as this match goes, Meltear was great here as a tag team. I mean, just their teamwork on Syuri and Lady C. Ultimately, once Syuri is able to isolate any member of Meltear, she really, really does a great job doing what she does best. The submissions, the strikes, the suplexes. I mean, we've seen it before. Her, the way she kicked Natsupoi. I mean, nobody sells the kick and nobody almost slides halfway across the ring the way that Natsupoi does when she's taking these kicks from Syuri. She does a great job selling and putting over what is already a brutal strike. But again, very much like we talked about FWC and that multi-person tag match, when it comes down to the teamwork, when Tam's in trouble or Natsupoi's in trouble, it's the teamwork of Meltear that helps them get the advantage. We see it with the super kicks, the German suplexes, the way that they're able to put their teamwork together. Ultimately, it ends with Meltear with the stereo German suplexes and then the double super kick to Lady C that sets Natsupoi up with the Ferial gift for the 3 count. My favorite match of this show, 4 stars for me, good sir.
And then finally moving on, Neo Genesis, Starlight Kid and Suzu Suzuki, who of course, as I mentioned before, were opponents the last time Stardom ran this building, defeating BMI 2000, Tora and Ruaka. It's a good match. I think they have a better match in them, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. Considering the fact of how great the tag match was, we just saw before. I thought that match was significantly better. Again, I like this 3 3/4 stars. I think that you're going to end the show. You want to end the show, but maybe your best match. Maybe they should have put that Meltear versus Sherry versus Lady C match on last. But at the same time, what you did here is after Suzu and Starlight Kid got the win, they basically said, hey, this is probably going to be the team for the Goddess of Stardom tag team tournament. And considering the fact that Tora and Ruaka as BMI 2000 are in the tournament as well. I understand why you put that on last. You gave almost a little bit of a preview for your next tournament. I would have just had, the Meltear versus Sherry versus Lady C match go on last. I thought that was the best match of the show. Yeah, it was basically, again, kind of your run of the mill here. It was basically you had the hate team do the jump, the early heat with then Suzu Suzuki and Starlight Kid able to fight back, And the one thing I like with Suzu and Starlight Kid as a team is we've seen Suzu do that drive-by run kick forever, but now Starlight Kid joins in on the fun. She comes from the other side and they do like a kick sandwich, which we haven't seen Suzu do with anybody else before. So they're getting along really good as a team. We mentioned the beginning of the show. Would we have rather seen Crazy Star and Starbomb as a team? Probably. But however, if this is kind of a preview of what we're going to get from Suzu and Starlight Kid as a team, I got no problem with it. Yeah, ultimately it was a pretty good match. It wasn't great. It wasn't like this, 5-star burner to end this show. It did what it needed to do. Even the finish was kind of looked like that Ruaka was going to take the tequila shot, but instead of taking the tequila shot, she just took like the tequila roll. Kind of was you had your roll up finish as your main event. The right team went over, with the cheating almost backfiring on BMI 2000. I got no problem with that storytelling. But for your main event, I would have had either the tequila shot or the German suplex finish off Ruaka. Again, 3 3/4 stars. Not a bad match by any stretch of the imagination, but for your main event, I thought they could have gave us a little more zing.
And with that, Matt Turner, there is only one thing to ask, and that is, are you ready? Are you ready, my friend, for Io and Kairi watch?
Sure do. And we have a double dose of Io and Kairi watch, double dose of some championship opportunities for my opinion, the number 4 or 5 best women's wrestler in the Matt Turner PWI 250 or whatever it is, with one Io. So we go to, obviously we have the Raw title match and the Speed Championship match from that's basically on their Twitter with Io and Candice. But we will go to Monday Night Raw, and big shout out to a friend of the show, Darren Chatton, who gave me some great news literally first thing on Tuesday morning, because that's when I watched Raw, when he sent me a message and said, this match is 11 minutes in. I said, so all I have to do is fast forward 11 minutes and this match? And he's like, yeah, that's it. I'm like, great. I don't have to fast forward through anything else. And again, I love WWE. I just don't have the time to watch all their programming. So it was literally the best news that I woke up to. So again, Darren, big shout out to you. 11 minutes in, we go to Io and Kairi challenging Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. And we start off with Io and Jade Cargill. It is strength versus speed, with Jade Cargill trying to use her power to outpower one Io Shirai, but Io using her quickness and her experience to get the advantage on one Jade Cargill. Eventually, though, we see Bianca Belair come in. We see some great tag team work between these two. Probably the best tag team work I've seen with Bianca and Jade. And Io and Kairi do a great job making sure they get all their tag stuff in and they look as dominant as possible. I really, really like that. Eventually, Io and Kairi, the Sky Pirates, they get the advantage. Kairi just goes absolutely insane in this match. She hits this awesome dive to the floor. Io comes back in. She hits a series of Showtime palm strikes and the Quesadora double stomp to Bianca Belair. Bianca is able to come back, hits this insane spear on Io that Io sells like she's been shot out of a cannon. I thought that was great. Kyrie escapes the pump kick, or not escapes, she dodges the big Jade Cargill pump kick. And when Jade turns around, guess what? She eats the cutlass from the Pirate Princess. I thought that was great. Eventually, we do see Jade Cargill. She hits this beautiful backbreaker powerbomb combination to Kyrie. Io's able to come back and help out Kyrie with a springboard missile dropkick to Jade Cargill. That leads to the 7 Kyrie pop-up elbow to Bianca Belair. Io goes for the moonsault to try to put this one away, but misses. At the same time, Kyrie goes to the outside to try to hit another dive onto Jade Cargill, but that doesn't work. Jade catches her and then slams Kyrie to the floor. Alas, though, Io comes to the save with the beautiful Ase moonsault to both Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. We do see that Lash Legend and I believe it's Dakota Jackson from NXT are sitting in the front row. They get in Io's face. Lash Legend punches Io right to the face. That leads to Bianca Belair able to take advantage and hit the KOD to pin one Io Sky in the middle of the ring. Thus, Bianca and Jade then retain the titles. That does lead us to next week on NXT. We are getting Jackson and Lash Legend versus Io and Kyrie, and as well as Julia and Roxanne Perez to take on Fatal Attraction. So a lot of NXT watch for the glimpse of Julia and the Io and Kyrie watch coming up next week. But we are not done. We go to the WWE Speed Finals as one Io Sky, Io Shirai, takes on one Candice LeRae. Now, Rob, did you get a chance to see this match?
I did not, I'm afraid. Yeah, I will check it out.
Yeah, boy, howdy. Now, all these matches are 3-minute time limits until I realized one side, and you literally just type in WWE Speed on Twitter and it'll pop right up. So it comes up, there's a 5-minute time limit. So I figured, okay, this is the championship. Maybe they're giving an extra 2 minutes. As I'm writing down, there's a 5-minute time limit. Io starts off with her beautiful suicide dive, like the best I've ever seen in wrestling. Like, boy, howdy, we're not messing around here at all. So the match literally starts with Io with the dropkick, sending Candice LeRae to the outside. Io hitting the picture perfect dive like 20 seconds in. Io comes in, hits a show tie and a German suplex for a 2 count. Io goes to the top rope to go for the moonsault. Candice LeRae blocks, and she hits the swinging neck breaker, which is called Candice LeRae's Wild Ride. Corey Graves doesn't call it that. I don't think he'll ever call it that. I only know that because Candice LeRae wrestled quite a bit in PWG, and I'm a massive fan of PWG, and that's what Excalibur would always call it. So Candice LeRae hits the top rope, swinging neck breaker for a 2 count. She goes to the top rope. Io cuts her off, hits the Spanish fly for a 2 count. She goes for the moonsault again. Indy Hartwell then distracts Io Shirai, leading to Candice LeRae trying a top rope German suplex on the Io. They must have watched that Tam Suzu match, but Io lands on her feet, hits the bullet train, goes for the moonsault again, she doesn't miss. Candice gets her feet up. That allows Candice to hit her lion salt for the 3 count, and Candice LeRae wins the Speed Championship. This match was done in like 3.5 minutes, partner. Again, it is literally all filler. Again, you're in these speed matches, you're not going for that Ricky Steamboat old school psychology and selling. It's literally high spot, high spot, high spot, high spot. And these two don't take a breath. Again, highest recommendation to both these matches. The Raw tag team match was terrific. Io and Kyrie as a tag team, to the shock of no one. They're great. But again, if you're short on time, this match with Io and Candice is like 3.5 minutes long, and literally don't blink because it's all just insane stuff between these two great wrestlers. All in all, even though Io was 0-2 on these matches, in my opinion, she was 2-0 because her performances, as per usual, were outstanding, my friend.
And there you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, check them out on Twitter. 3-minute matches. And why not go check out Kyrie's semi-final from the week before as well? In terms of Stardom this week, we have New Blood 16, as we mentioned, on Saturday the 19th. I am going to assume that is live, at least on Stardom World. But we will see. I imagine it will probably end up being streamed on YouTube as well. And then we have Stardom in Fuji, in Fujisan Mess on the 20th on the Sunday. Don't forget, that is where we will see the two Stardom wrestlers that are going on to challenge for the number 1 contendership for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship as well. Obviously, Hanan has recovered from her injury. Xena, we wish nothing but the best and hope it isn't as bad as first feared. But other than that, Matt Turner, unless you have anything else to add, next week will be our review of New Blood, of Stardom in Fujisan Mass, and then, of course, our preview of the 14th Goddess of Stardom Tag League.
No, all sounds good, my man. And again, I know Rob mentioned at the beginning of the show, the Marigold Standard will be we're scheduled to record it and release it this upcoming Monday. Just with them releasing three shows, and then me being away in New York for this weekend, we just can't have the time to watch all the shows and then review it. So we appreciate everybody's patience with that. And again, we thank you.
Yeah, it's a crippling lack of sort of commitment, I think, Matt, again, from you. But again, you know, I'm a good guy. I'm a good boss. I think it's only right that I let you go on this little work vacation. No, have a great time, mate. I hope you have a lovely time, and I hope Lily has a lovely time. But ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening and for sticking around as well. Don't forget, you can find us everywhere you get your podcasts. We are quite literally everywhere. If you could leave us a comment, a 5-star review, it really does help us out. And it's a completely free way to support the podcast. If you haven't already, go and check out patreon.com/StardomCast, where you can get all of these episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month. Check out the website, www.thestardomcast.com, for all our archived episodes, the news, and all of that good stuff to come out of the world of Stardom and Marigold, including a whole comprehensive history and stat package as well for both companies. You can find us on social media at the Stardom Cast. You can also talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Matt Turner, sound us off, good sir.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything that you need from me, Matt Turner OF, on the Instagram and or the Twitter is the best way to get a hold of me. Once again, if you're going to be at New York Comic Con, send me and or Andy Header a message, and we'll hang out. We'll chat some fun comic and pro wrestling stuff. If you want to shoot me an email, the email address is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fun-filled episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as me and the passion package himself, one Rob Goodwin, enjoyed talking about all the fantastic stuff going on in the world of Stardom. Folks, we greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you, because like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. We're all together. Everyone's different. Everyone's special.